The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Install a new furnace and AC combo and save up to $3,000 with manufacturer and utility rebates along with Standard Heating's discount. Visit standardheating.com.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. 93X.
Breaking news, Simpson, the former football great who was ultimately accused of and then acquitted of the brutal 1994 murders of his ex-wife and her friend Ron Goldman, has died.
The big news is that OJ Simpson died. Yep. As we speak, someone is trying to write the most impossible eulogy of all time.
It is a pursuit and appears to be at this time OJ Simpson.
Well, let's get to OJ. OJ Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind OJ of how much more killing he still has to do. According to retailers, the most popular Halloween mask this year is OJ Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, "I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses," or treat. Tomorrow, Judge Lancito will take OJ and the jury on a tour of the now famous crime scene. For the jury, it will be their first look at the actual location. Of course, for OJ, it will be just a case of been there, done that. OJ Simpson's lawyers have decided to skip hearings on DNA evidence and go right to trial. Asked why they did this, the lawyers replied, "We want to get OJ acquitted as speedily as possible so he can get back to doing what he does best, killing people." This week at the OJ Simpson trial, the infamous bloody glove was finally introduced into evidence, and OJ didn't help his case any by blurting out, "There it is, I've been looking all over for that thing."
The weekend.
Well, the effing guy died, huh?
Sounds like it.
O.J. Simpson died. So he took it to the grave, didn't he?
Yeah, I always thought on his deathbed he'd say what really happened. What most people believe really happened.
Did he get that opportunity? Because not a lot of us get that opportunity. Was it a sudden thing?
It seemed sudden to me, but I guess I hadn't really followed him too much. I knew he had cancer. I didn't realize it was that bad. So yesterday when we got the news, that was a surprise to me at least.
Yeah, okay, he had cancer, but did he get that? What we don't know is, did he get that opportunity, which not many of us get this opportunity, where you're laid out on a hospital bed, your family's surrounding you, saying goodbye. Did he get that opportunity?
Maybe it'll come out.
That's the only thing that I ever really thought about much when it comes to O.J. Simpson in the last 20-some years. If ever his name came up, I would wonder, same as you, I would wonder when it's looking like it's over for the guy, is he finally going to fess up?
Who knows? Maybe it'll come out. Maybe somebody will say.
Right. Welcome to the Half-Ass Morning Show, by the way. How you doing? Or maybe he already had.
Or maybe he left a letter.
Maybe he left it in his will or something.
Okay.
By the way,
left a letter, put it in his will. Hey, you get the car. By the way, I killed Mom. That's the only thing that ever really crossed my mind when it comes to OJ over the last number of years. Would he get that opportunity to fess up?
Well, there was a book in 2007 that got shelved. It was called "I Did It: Confessions of the Killer."
Well, it didn't get shelved.
Oh yeah,
right.
it leaked, didn't it? But
it didn't even leak. The Goldmans got control of it.
Oh, gotcha.
So they released it as kind of an FU because of how much money OJ owed them.
Gotcha.
So
I remember hearing about that. Sure.
Yeah. So, but you're right. In a way, it did get shelved. The publisher got fired for even agreeing to publish it. They destroyed all the books that OJ put out, and then the Goldmans put it out with a foreword that they wrote. So that's kind of what happened.
Like I said, maybe he fessed up to his family years ago, and we just don't know it. Who effing knows? His family always seemed to have his back.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think they really believed in his innocence?
There always has to be some doubt.
Or was there something else going on? Some kind of an agreement?
I was thinking yesterday, I don't know anything about his family necessarily, so maybe they're not good people, I have no idea, but You know, can you imagine your father or any person in your family being accused of something like that?
Yeah.
How awful. Their whole life is tainted.
Was there something else going? Because, come on, I mean, we all love our parents, right? But there's a limit on things. Where, I mean, it doesn't have to be your parent. No matter who it is, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your daddy, brother, lover, little boy. There's a point where anybody would say, okay, come on, I love you, Grandma, but what the hell really happened that night? Come on, right?
I gotta know.
Was there really anyone outside of his family that believed in his innocence? I don't know the answers to these questions.
I saw like maybe 2 people on Twitter yesterday, and I was like, that's an interesting stance to take.
He had a couple of close friends who claim that they believe him because they were probably terrified of what would happen to them if they said otherwise.
Exactly.
When he went to jail for the Vegas kidnapping and stealing the memorabilia and stuff, that Vegas hotel raid.
Right.
He played golf in Minnesota. I read this story last night. He played golf in Minnesota a couple weeks or months before the sentencing. He was with a girlfriend. And the girlfriend, after he went to jail, went on, I think it was Good Morning America, and said that she was terrified for her life for the last 13 years and just couldn't do anything to get out of it. But now that he was in jail, she felt like a sense of relief.
13 years?
Yeah, it was a year she was with this guy. And she said, I was terrified every day, but there's no way I could get out.
Jesus balls. What a hell of a deal. What a story. But first, tell me what you were telling me off air about Norm Macdonald with those jokes.
Yeah, so I didn't realize this until after Norm passed. And I loved Norm Macdonald. He was so great. And what was one of the best things about him, Andrew Dice Clay, you've mentioned, was like this too. Norm actually embraced it when people groaned at what he said. That was a bit for him. Mm-hmm. And he and Conan O'Brien were very good friends. And after Norm passed, Conan put out a special podcast dedicated to Norm. And one of the stories he told was Norm Macdonald was fired from Saturday Night Live because he refused to stop going after OJ. I forget the exact executive, but there was some executive that supposedly was buddies with OJ and came down to Norm and said, hey, knock it off. That's my pal. You got to stop talking about OJ. And Norm, of course, said, F you, and then just went extra hard on OJ.
That's awesome.
And it led to him being terminated from SNL. At least that's what Conan said, and that seems to be what other people are backing up.
Really? Oh, really? Is that your buddy? You know what I mean? When you first started telling me the story that Norm Macdonald was fired for telling that really happened. So he was fired for telling all those OJ jokes over and over again?
Supposedly, yeah.
Okay. When you first told me that story, I thought, some powerful lawyers or something must have gotten a hold of Norm. But then you say it was an NBC executive who was upset because you were making fun of his buddy.
That was his pal.
Get better friends. Okay,
yeah.
How douchey and awful is that? Hey, that's my buddy, And I don't give a rat's ass who your buddy is.
The knowing we know about Norm, too, is if you tell Norm not to do something or told Norm when he was alive not to do something, don't joke about this, he's going to double, triple, quadruple down on it.
Well, that was evidence of it. Mm-hmm. And he knew the repercussions. They said, you're going to get fired if you keep this up, but he just went for it. Oh, this sounds right. Don Ohlmeyer from NBC.
Ohlmeyer.
Thank you, Medical Device Jesus.
Old Don Ohlmeyer.
He said...
he was a little butthurt.
Medical Device Jesus said there's a great interview with Norm and Dave Letterman after he got fired, and Dave didn't hold back. David Letterman's birthday is today, by the way.
I'll be damned.
77 years young.
What a story, the O.J. Simpson story. And it's all true.
It's nuts.
Aside from what he said.
Right.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It's not just a lot of people, they call it the trial of the century, right? It was televised. People were saying, well, I can't believe you televised such a thing. Why would you do that? And then everybody watched the chase. More people watched the famous Bronco chase than they did the previous Super Bowl. 95 million people watched this thing play out on television. And
I remember it vividly.
Me too. It was crazy. And some people, I was like, O.J. Simpson, are you serious? And they had said that some people credit that for starting reality TV, realizing there's a huge audience for stuff like this.
1994, NBA Finals. Houston Rockets, New York Knickerbockers. Watching at my folks' place with a buddy of mine named Brian. And all of a sudden, and I was such a huge Houston Rockets guy back then with Akeem Olajuwon and Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell, Otis Thorpe, Mario Elie. I'm watching the NBA finals, and it cuts to the infamous Bronco chase. And I had not followed anything prior to that. I know that the news had already started covering a little bit of the murder of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman, but I wasn't the kind of guy that would watch the news. So I was completely out of touch. And so there we are, watching the television, and it says, what you're looking at is a police chase, and supposedly in the back of the Ford Bronco is O.J. Simpson, who's been accused of the murder of an... And I remember laughing at the idea. I remember saying to my buddy, they think O.J. Simpson killed?
Right.
I remember laughing, because I knew O.J. Simpson as a football star. And, you know, when I was a young kid, that was the ultimate citizen, was an NFL star. I was so enamored with NFL players when I was a tiny little kid, and I would read about O.J. Simpson. And I remember watching him play towards the end of his career. The last year of his career, I believe he was with the San Francisco 49ers. I want to say it was 1977. I remember watching him play. So I idolized those guys. You get a little older. I saw him in one of my favorite movies, The Towering Inferno.
I didn't know that was one of your favorite movies.
Oh, yeah, I love What's His Nuts, Paul Newman. And
Paul Newman's great.
The guy that died young, McQueen, Steve McQueen, The Towering Inferno. So that took O.J. to another level. Then I get a little older. He's in the Naked Gun movie. He plays Nordberg, for Christ's sake.
He was on his deathbed in that movie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Heroin,
he went through
Frank.
a lot.
Heroin. That's a tall order, Nordberg. You're going to have to give me a... So I thought the world of O.J. Simpson. I laughed when it was brought up on the television that he might be accused of murder.
He was such an affable guy. You know, there's a famous story about he was in mind to play the Terminator, which obviously went to Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they thought, nobody's going to believe this guy is a killer. Turns out people can believe that O.J. Simpson's a killer.
Surprised the hell out of me. It really did.
Me too.
And then the trial. Oh, for Christ's sake, it went on forever. And I tuned that out as well. I did. I just couldn't. Sure, there were nights where I'd maybe give it 30 seconds or so, but that was too serious for me.
Me too. Like you said, I was young enough where that none of the news stuff interested me too much. I paid attention a little bit.
And I was content at that point. By the time the trial came around, I was content to find out at the end, okay, he's guilty, okay, he's innocent. It wasn't something that I was terrible. Even though every day, the morning show I was involved in then, every day we had an OJ update.
Oh,
man.
Gross.
It sucked.
OJ update.
It sucked, but the idea was that, the America is so dialed into this. We've got to be, involved in this, and, maybe it would have worked on a better radio show, but I got awful tired of interviews with lawyers. Oh, by the way, later, Ryan Pacyga will be joining the...
And he'll probably comment on the OJ case, I'd imagine.
I'm interested in talking to Ryan about it, but back in those days, every day we had that guy on the air. What was his name again? Kimbo Bibble, the neighbor? Bibble McDibble.
Oh, Cato Kalin?
Cato Kalin. We had everybody involved in the damn thing on the air. But I just got so tired. But it was the trial of the century. And as I got older, I'm like a lot of things, I appreciate more what a hell of a big deal it was.
And what a weird coincidence that yesterday Ford recalled a bunch of Bronco sports, on the same day.
That's great.
Imagine they're thinking, we're trying to distance ourselves after all these years from the O.J. Simpson deal, and it just so happens on the same day they recall the Bronco sports.
And then the guy went ahead and died.
Basement window peeper Jesus. He brings up something else he blames O.J. for, the Kardashians.
Yeah, that whole started because of him.
That's all his fault, yep.
Explain that to me.
Was it Rob Kardashian?
Yeah. Yep.
The father, part of the legal team or something?
Oh, right.
And so, because of their connection with that, very popular case, for lack of a better word, famous case, they got famous.
Okay, right. It was Donnie Kardashian, whatever his name was. He was part of the team. that defended him or went after OJ?
Defended him.
Defended him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit yesterday when we found out that OJ had checked out. I did watch the hell out of that series. And I know there have been a couple, 3 of them. What was the one we were talking about? You with Cuba Gooding Jr. and...
called American Crime Story.
I think that's the one maybe I watched a couple of them. There was one that I really enjoyed. I don't know if it was the one with Cuba Gooding Jr. and David Schwimmer.
I believe it was.
I can't remember.
Because I remember I was kind of shocked. I'm like, whoa, Nick's up on a new show for once?
Yeah. That's a hell of a story, man. I mean...
Yeah.
Jesus, what a disaster.
Have you heard this? Here's a text. I'm not going to say who exactly they mentioned just because I don't want this out there for that person, but there's a theory that a family member of OJ's committed the murders, and the chase was to get the family member some time to get rid of evidence.
I guess I've heard those over the years.
I guess that makes sense why they're going so slow.
Yeah. Over the years, sure, I've heard 1 or 2 of those deals.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. Piano mover Jesus said at least OJ can now rest easy knowing his wife's killer is finally dead.
I remember they put the verdict reading on in class for us in like 3rd grade.
3rd grade?
It's so bizarre.
That's a little dark for 3rd grade.
That's one of those where the teacher just wanted to watch.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure that's what it was. Looking back, I'm sure the teacher wanted to know. It's not like they could hop on their phones or the internet to figure it out, so they threw it on for all of us kids to watch.
That's what 9/11 was for us. I was in 4th grade, and they just turned on the TVs all day and just sat and watched TV. Just watched all the coverage.
That's crazy to think you were in... What grade did you say?
4th grade.
4th grade. We were sitting right here in the studio.
They did what now? You're sitting in class and they did what, Wapple, when the attacks happened?
They just turned on the news coverage, and that's all we did all day was just watch news coverage of the 9/11 attack.
That's what we did. Same thing.
I remember like a 3rd grade teacher ran in our room. She was crying and like talked to the teacher, and all of a sudden our teacher ran out of the room. The teachers met in the library and was talking about it. It was insane.
And you were how old?
4th grade.
I suppose maybe when we were 4th grade, if something like that happened, they would have. I don't know. Tough to say. Well, there you go. There you effing go. Later on this morning, 8 a.m., Dad Fights, don't you know? The all OJ edition of Dad Fights. No, we didn't have time to put that together.
I don't think we would have done that.
No, even if it happened earlier in the week.
I don't. We probably wouldn't have gone with an all OJ Simpson edition, even if we had the opportunity. Then, like I said, Ryan Pacyga is going to swing by. Haven't talked to Ryan in a while. Superstar lawyer here in town. I really like the guy. We all really like the guy. And I would like his. Absolutely, I'd like his opinion on all this. Going back to the trial. He probably knows something. Inside information. Industry stuff that we wouldn't even understand, Josh.
But he's good at explaining it.
He really is.
Yeah.
He can explain the balls off of it.
He's one of those dudes where you think you know something, and then he'll tell you his side, and you realize, I knew nothing. There's a couple things where he's changed my mind a little bit on.
He will explain the balls smooth off of it.
Because he's one of those people where a lot of people are very smart about a certain subject, but they don't know how to articulate it to dumb people like us. But Ryan's very good at like putting it in simple terms for, folks like the 5 of us to understand.
Dude, don't lump me in with you morons. I understand what the hell guy.
You know what kind of guy he is?
Go ahead.
Pacyga, this had to be 20 years ago or more. I had a promotion at an Audio King, which I used to love Audio King back in the day. I couldn't afford Audio King, but I loved Audio King.
Used to aggravate me how you got all those great gigs.
I like those gigs. But yeah, so I was
out
there.
At Audio King.
On a Saturday morning.
It was a Saturday morning. Well,
10 a.m.
Yeah, it was like a 10 to noon. Yeah. He and the family brought me Taco Bell.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
What a hell of a guy, right?
Yeah.
I threw it in his face.
Oh,
said,
good.
No, I'm a Taco John's guy.
I want potato Olays.
I feel so bad. I love Taco Bell. I can't believe I'd say anything negative about that.
Crunchwrap Supreme.
A guy will sacrifice his beliefs sometimes for a good on-air joke. That's all that was, Josh.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Cheap laugh.
Anyone else got anything else going on? It's Friday.
Yes.
No, it's supposed to be really nice this weekend, though. That's exciting. People are pretty pumped about that.
F that. I don't. None of us are going outside this weekend. I'm putting all these to work.
Local 34 Jesus texted in and wants to know if I did any ride-alongs with Audio King. I like to sit in with other people that do their jobs.
Their sessions.
And the answer to that is yes.
What do you mean? How do you do a ride-along with a what? Don't tell me. I'll get there. A stereo shop.
I'm getting embarrassed by some of this, by the way, but I used to hang out at the install bay.
You did. You did what? The what bay?
The install bay where we'd go, I'm going to say we because I did this without getting paid for months. I'd hang out with these guys and help install car stereos. And that's what I wanted to do for a living. So I loved it. So I'd hang out. We put a couple of Minnesota Vikings, which I thought was really cool
they
back
must have
then.
some cool gear in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We put some of their systems in. But, yeah, so I have gone on Audio King ride-alongs.
It's awesome,
The other
Josh.
guys are just sitting back watching you do the work.
Learned a lot about how to install car stereos.
Yeah, I bet. Josh could put a fat-ass subsystem in your car.
I did. Oh, and my dad was furious because I had a car that I paid $600 for, and it was a Ford Escort. It was really a piece of garbage. And then I got a Circuit City credit card, and I bought a $3,000 car stereo that I put in there.
A Circuit City credit card.
Oh,
no.
I thought my dad. It only took me like 8 years to pay that off.
Hang on a second. The price of the car was
about $600,
and the stereo system
$3,000. $3,000 into a car.
That's insane.
I make good decisions.
Oh, that's the best.
Wow.
You've never been able to sit still, have you?
No, probably not. I'm getting better at it.
You like to keep yourself occupied. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean you're on your feet, of course, or outside, because we know you're an avid indoorsman, and you certainly like to be in the seated position, but you always have to keep yourself occupied.
Yeah, like I said, I just kind of enjoy
But yet you're
getting to do something that you never get to do.
Do you think you're getting better at letting it go a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
What do you got planned this weekend?
I got a couple things going on.
What are you doing? Are you going to watch like
What are you doing,
let me guess.
Josh?
You're going to watch a 6-hour YouTube video on how to do something with computers.
Oh, dude, I wanted to go to bed early yesterday.
Yeah, but what happened?
YouTube rabbit holes.
But I bet it wasn't anything fun.
Well, I don't know. I did watch some music videos.
Okay.
I watched a lot of Firehouse videos.
Oh, sure.
Their new singer, by the way, is a good replacement for CJ Snare. We mentioned this a couple times. The lead singer of Firehouse, he passed away. But
bad timing for that guy.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know.
But so I started watching some of those, and then all of a sudden I saw trucks or videos on trucks, hidden features of some popular vehicles. So I watched that for about an hour and a half.
See, that's what I'm talking about. The rest of us are watching porno movies. Josh watches YouTube videos on hidden features in different motor vehicles. The Mercedes-Benz IO 15 has a Wi-Fi signal, whatever, That's you got a thing happening there.
Well, they're so good. YouTube's so good at going, don't go to bed, dude. Why don't you just watch this video?
You don't need sleep.
Yeah. I know we said this would be the last video, but there's this. Have you ever thought about looking at something like this?
You may also like.
Yeah,
man, they're good at that kind of stuff.
They'll get you.
I feel like the YouTube algorithm knows me better than my friends and family do.
They'll get you.
Police car building Jesus said I can go on a ride along with him and learn how to build a police car. Love it.
That would be sweet.
That'd be awesome. Wapple, you squandered the working with Wapple gig. I loved that bit because it was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
You squandered it.
OSHA kind of ruined that.
Yeah, let's put it on OSHA.
No,
let's blame OSHA.
That was Wapple. You
was
didn't want to do
Wapple.
it anymore.
No, you did not.
It's okay.
Don't argue.
No, there was a lot of lawyer stuff that we had to go through.
Well, that was when we tried to reboot it.
Here we go.
I used an industry term from today. We tried to reboot it, but the original one, you just got tired of doing. A lot of Audio King fans in the listening audience.
I don't suppose those are around anymore, are they?
Audio King?
I've
No.
never seen one.
No,
They go the way of Blockbuster and Circuit
unless
City.
they're in some other states that I'm not aware of. But
Here's Josh. There's Josh 20 years ago. He can't sleep at night. What's wrong? You're fidgeting. You're not sleeping. Can't sleep. Too excited. Got an appearance tomorrow at Audio King.
He camps out for his own appearance.
Yeah. Can't sleep. He's in a cold sweat. Tomorrow, Audio King.
Wife plowing Jesus had a 99 Ford Ranger, paid $6,000 for it, and had a $10,000 stereo with lights.
Oh my God.
$10,000. Oh, man.
Sprinkler fitter Jesus brought up the fact that, okay, this could bring us together on a weekend, Josh, where you and I could watch videos together. If there's a porno that, what's the word I'm looking for here? Where the plot, thank you, I'm thanking myself. If there's a porno movie where the plot revolves around hidden car features, then you and I could sit side by side. All right, we got to get going. It's Friday morning. I personally can't wait to get the hell out of here. I hope everything goes by quickly and smoothly. You're a terrific crowd. Brad Ryder, Randy Shaver later on for Dad Fights. Lawyer Ryan Pacyga as well. We'll be back in a couple of minutes on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Half-Assed Morning Show.
They're loud, they lose control, they do their little circus act, they're a nuisance.
93X.
Our experienced and certified technicians at Standard Heating have been trusted to keep our fellow Minnesotans comfortable and confident for over 90 years. We're ready to do the same for you, providing comfort you deserve since 1930.
It is the triple savings spring sale at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Install a new furnace and AC combo and save up to $3,000 with manufacturer and utility rebates along with Standard Heating's discount. That's a trifecta. Visit standardheating.com.
Just Capital is a nonprofit that tracks which companies are a force for good. Companies like Bank of America, which just earned the Just Capital seal. Bank of America is ranked #1 for ongoing commitment to their workers with initiatives like Sharing Success, which awarded 97% of their teammates additional compensation, nearly all in stock. This is the program's 7th consecutive year, awarding more than $4.8 billion in total. Visit JustCapital.com to learn how a just business is a better business.
Furnished by Just Capital.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
All right, let me see if I can freak some of yous out right here from the get-go. It's one of those stories that's fun to talk about, but if it happened to you, it might keep you up at night. A gal living around here in the Midwest summers. She's not giving out her exact location, maybe ever again. And here's why. Here's why she's not telling anybody. A couple days ago, she received a, quote, gift in the mail, and she has no idea who sent it. She just moved into a new house, oh, by God, it says here, 10 months ago, and she only gave her address out to those in her inner circle. Just moved into a new place, got a gift in the mail, doesn't know who sent it. The letter came from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She doesn't know anybody from Philly. When she opened the letter, panic set in. The letter had just 3 words written on it. It simply said, "Thinking of you." But that wasn't it. Included in the letter was a small bag filled with finger or toenails. She's not sure which.
Ew.
Thinking of you.
That's so scary.
Here's the very 2024 twist on the story. She shared her trauma on that effing Reddit website. Because, you know, when you're at your most vulnerable, why not open up about your deepest, darkest fears on the internet with thousands of strangers, right?
Yep. Great idea.
Once she hopped up on the Reddit scene, she said, "Why would someone send this? I've only been at this house for 10 months. I live in the Midwest, and I don't know anyone in Pennsylvania."
Because they're thinking of you, obviously.
Thinking of you. And here are my toenails. She... What's it say here now? Since receiving the letter with the finger and toenail chunks and the sweet message about missing her, she went ahead and removed all her personal information from social media and whatnot. She also said, "I filed a police report, but they don't seem too interested. I gave the letter to a coworker to hold on to. I don't want it in my house. And also, it could be used as evidence someday. It's so bizarre. The longer it goes without me knowing, it makes it creepier, she said. And like I was saying, why wouldn't you share that story with thousands of 8th graders and twisted adults on Reddit?
See, I'm not a social media person, but even if I really was, I wouldn't want to give the person who sent that any reason to come after me or I wouldn't want them to know how much it affected me because I'm sure that's what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't give them the satisfaction. Throw it away.
Now,
you know something about not giving people satisfaction.
Yeah, well, that's my way of saying that, yes. You know very well.
I'm sure this message that she received from a stranger on Reddit, I'm sure this made her feel better. Someone commented by saying, "It's just someone trying to scare you by making you think they know voodoo or Wiccan. Everybody knows it's the victim's hair and blood wax you use when making a voodoo doll."
Duh.
Okay.
What do you write back to that? Yeah, you're right. Everybody knows that.
Everyone's talking about that.
Hair and blood wax. Yeah, thanks.
Blood wax.
What is blood wax?
No idea.
I never heard of that.
Someone else said, and again, I'm sure it made her feel very comfortable, in certain cultures, things like nail clippings and hair are used to place a curse on a person. What do you say back to that? Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up. I wouldn't have gone, like you were saying, Josh, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near Reddit if this happened to me. But that's where she sits, right there, with a letter and some finger or toenails and a simple message about missing her.
I would definitely tell the people or, my loved ones, hey, if anything ever happens to me, this is what happened to me. Whoever
this is
sent
the
this.
guy, yeah.
Keep these for DNA samples someday if I ever go missing.
You ever received a creepy letter from an anonymous writer, Ashley?
No.
Good. I hope it never happens to you.
Yeah, just creepy messages, but
You talking
Like
about
DMs and whatnot?
yeah.
What do they say?
Thinking of you.
Yeah, actually, like stuff like that.
You should get away from that stuff.
It's alarming, but I usually just don't open my messages, which kind of bums me out because I miss a lot of like people that are not being creepy and that are
what
being
if
nice.
one of those messages from Ashton Butcher? What the hell is it?
I know. I would honestly miss it.
Yeah, you'd miss it.
I had a friend that used to leave little trinkets in front of my garage, and that was his bit. He wouldn't tell me. And so I would talk to him about it. He's, one of my best friends. I'm like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, some dude, he just leaves, like, sometimes it'd be just something weird, like half a donkey. Like, not a real donkey, I'm sorry. Like a donkey toy.
Oh.
Right? Just kind of stuff like that. And it didn't necessarily freak me out. I just thought, like, what's going on here?
I want to do something like this. This sounds fun.
We were renting the house, so I didn't know if it was something for the previous homeowner or if one of my kids had a buddy doing something like this. And it turns out it was him.
You're
Found out it was him.
confiding in your friend.
I know.
He's just I bet he's just holding the laughter back so hard.
Oh, he's the best at that stuff.
Well, in case you don't know my story, I'll tell you. Being creepy with a friend can go wrong. Me and my pal Dane, we unknowingly put one of our friends through mental anguish for a good year, and we didn't know it. Now, the true story is this other friend of ours, we'll call him Donnie. Dane and I decided to pick on Donnie. Donnie had a little sexual tryst with a neighbor lady, and it went bad. He thought at first it was just an F-buddy type situation, but when Donnie started dating other women, this lady in his neighborhood got very possessive of Donnie. He would catch her standing in his driveway in the middle of the night and looking into his home.
Dude.
Right. It got creepy. And she would, because she was mad at him for not loving her, she would One time she sabotaged his air conditioner.
Oh, no.
So he would come home and the house would be 1,000 degrees. She was this vengeful ex-F buddy type situation. And Dane and I knew that. We knew all those stories. But we didn't know. One day we drove by Donnie's house and just to mess with him, and we thought he would pick up on the bit. We simply left him a note on his door that said, "I know what you do, and I don't like it." Intentionally trying to be creepy, and it was a reference to his neighbor lady, but we didn't think he'd buy it, and we never said another word to him about it for a year. Well, then the three of us are going to a concert one night, and I turned to him just as a joke, and I said, "I know what you do, and I don't like it." And Donnie turns to me and says, "What did you just say to me?" And I said, "Well, you know, the bit that we did." And he said, the bit? That was a bit? And we said, What's going on? He said, "Dude, I thought I was a friggin' dead man." He was sleeping with a gun under his pillow. He changed all the locks in his house. He really thought that letter was from the creepy side piece and that she was finally going to get him. Donnie calls his sister on the phone while we're in the car, and he says, "You know, the letter with the, I know, it was Dane. It was a joke." And she says, "Oh my God." They were mad at us for a while for that. I thought for sure he would understand it. He did not know it was a bit.
Did you appreciate the bit more at that point and find that quite hilarious, or did you feel bad?
It only took a little while for us to start busting his balls about it all over again. But yeah, I was pretty proud of what we accomplished. I mean, we made a guy have a year of sleepless nights.
Yeah. He owes you an apology for not telling you how terrified he was. You could have enjoyed that for a whole year.
It would have been a lot more fun that way.
Hey, you know what? You know what else? Someday, hopefully soon, once all the legal proceedings are over, I'll tell you what happened with Donnie and his latest girlfriend.
Oh, yes, again? Yes. He must be something else.
He has a lot of luck with the ladies, by God, he does. A lot of luck with the ladies. All right. By God, it's bad enough to have your house broken into. Cubby can tell you, he can. But here's a deal where the burglar added insult to injury. Up there in Ontario, a woman got herself arrested for breaking on into somebody's house last weekend. And the local cops say that she also left behind a, quote, large bowel movement in
it wasn't that.
the victim's toilet.
Large.
Luckily, it was in the toilet, right? I mean.
And she didn't bother flushing. A large bowel movement was left behind in the victim's toilet. No flushy flush. Dude, girl turds.
Gross.
My absolute kryptonite right there. Girl turds. So the homeowners say they upped and left the house for 3 hours last Saturday. When they came home, they found several of their windows were smashed in. Man, I would come uncorked.
Windows are so expensive.
Well, I wouldn't care about that. Just knowing that someone broke into I would come on. The burglar snatched some drugs, like prescription drugs, clothes, sunglasses. Oh no, my sunglasses. Jewelry. Video surveillance recorded her leaving the house, pulling a suitcase full of stuff behind her. And again, speaking of behind, like I said, she dropped a Hall of Fame coil job in one of the toilets there in the house and didn't flush.
Did they collect that for evidence?
They didn't need to. 3 days later, the cops spotted a lady walking down the street wearing some of the stolen clothes.
Is that my hat, shirt, and pants?
It was her. It was the turd lever. So they didn't need to... what do they call those things that you use to eat at KFC? Spork?
A spork?
They didn't need to spork out any of the turds for DNA.
Boy, I haven't seen a spork in a long time.
No.
The gal, a 22-year-old with the cleanest colon in town, she went off to jail.
Dana, you kind of seem like a type of person who either you yourself or ran with a crew of guys that might have done the upper decker. Were you poop in the tank of the toilet?
There was always talk about it, as always the joke, but not that I know of anybody. I don't know anybody who's confirmed done it.
I kind of saw you maybe being the one that did it.
I could never bring myself to actually do that.
No.
Because it's too high up there?
Yeah, exactly.
It was a shameful act.
Nothing funny about that.
I've never known anybody who's had that happen, but you're right. It's kind of one of those urban legends where, did you hear so-and-so did that to so-and-so?
I would kill somebody if they did that to my house.
It was like a running joke we would have. I mean, none of us were ever going to do it, but if we were at a party in college and it was lame, we kind of be like, well, finish this beers, leave an upper decker, and get out of here. Like, yeah, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, I think it would be tough for me not to kill as well, Ashley.
Yeah. I can't get past that.
That's new toilet territory. You just pay somebody to haul it out and you get a new one.
All right, just as we predicted, a handful of whack bags out there were convinced that the eclipse from a few days ago was going to be Armageddon, the end of days.
I didn't hear too much about that. It was like the next day after it happened, I saw a bunch of people like, oh, we made it. We're alive.
This is effing hilarious right here. A couple of folks who work at a restaurant have had a series of interactions with one of those wackos. And this is a hell of a lot of fun. Here we go. The wacko was convinced that this past Monday, April 8th, the day of the eclipse, the wacko was convinced that it was going to be the end of all time. So the wacko lady tipped the waitstaff an assload of money a couple days before the eclipse. She made a couple of visits to this restaurant before the eclipse, tipped the waitstaff piles of money. No need for money after Monday, right? We're all going to be dead.
Yeah. But
when life went on after the eclipse, the nut job lady came back to the restaurant looking for her money back.
No. It doesn't work like that.
That is too effing good right there.
Mm-hmm.
The woman tipped the two servers in the neighborhood of $1,100 because she was convinced the eclipse was going to be the rapture. One of the servers told the local news she was nice, but kept trying to convert me to Christ. She tipped $300 on a $40 bill and wrote on the receipt, "In case you don't rise on the 8th. See, the theory was, with some of these goofy bastards, was that good Christians would rise up to heaven on the day of the eclipse, and the rest of us non-believers will be left here on earth to suffer. Okay?
Yeah.
So then the lady comes back. Again, before the eclipse, she made a second visit to the restaurant, was waited on by a different server. That server said she kept asking me if I was Christian. I said no, and then she started talking about how awful it will be for him after the rapture. How awful it will be for the sinners left on earth. He put up with it. He was polite and respectful, and it paid off. She tipped him $777, which is, she said, the Lord's number as opposed to Satan's number, 666.
That's the number of the beast.
Woe to you, O earth and sea.
I've had that happen before. I used to work late nights.
Yeah.
And drunk people would sometimes over tip, or I don't know, they'd end up tipping me like $100, and they did the next morning when they realized they come in and are like, hey, yeah, like I didn't mean to tip that much.
Oh, for Christ's sake,
like,
that happened more than once?
Yeah, and the manager's like, you signed the receipt, like you take it up with your bank. Like I'm not taking her money from her.
By the way, can you guys hear this?
Yeah. Yes, what is that?
That's the fire alarm. We're on fire again.
Again?
No, it's pretty funny here in me and Cubby's studio. Is that an air conditioner? Not air, furnace event?
Yeah, it's a vent. I mean, that is not doing it justice how loud it is in here, because it's pretty far from where we're sitting.
Yeah.
But it's crazy loud in here.
Ours just kicked on too, and it's like a jet engine just took off.
Well, we can't.
Yeah,
well,
that is kicking.
Can we hear it?
Yeah. Well, I got to turn our mics off.
No, it's mostly by me in this corner.
We win again,
like
Josh.
Yeah, is that a stealth engine?
Yeah, it's a stealth bomber.
Barely hear that one.
So if you hear that buzzing, that's the furnace kicking in over here. So sorry about that.
You know, she seemed like a nice person with maybe some unusual beliefs at first. Like, hey, you know what? Why don't you take this?
This lady we're
talking
talking
about?
about?
At first, you guys take this. She could have took it to what she thought was going to be the grave.
So anyway, she tips the one server. What was it? $1,100? No, $300. The next server she tipped $777. That second server was so startled by that amount of money, he went to the manager. Manager talks to the nut job and says, "Are you sure you want to?" She says, "Oh yeah, we're all going to be dead in a couple days anyway." But her story changed completely the day after. She returned after the eclipse somehow wasn't the end of the world and claimed that her $1,077 in tips were fraudulent. Instead of being angry at herself or blaming the maniac podcast host or whoever told her that the eclipse was going to be the death of us all, she went after the servers. And I love this line from the article, a website called yourtango.com. It says, "Ah, yes, berating employees for your own mistake, just as Christ would have done." The restaurant manager told her the transactions were on the up and up. She stormed out, this supposed Christian, stormed out angrily to her Mercedes and drove away. And the article ends with this, and I love it. It says here, promoters of these end-of-the-world myths are currently working overtime on social media to explain away the fact that the rapture didn't come this week, or to deny they ever claimed it would, just like they did after the 2017 eclipse, and after the year 20 plus 12 didn't bring about the end of the world either.
I remember the 2012 one being really big. You know, so many people thought that was it.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I thought, maybe.
Well, then you go back to the, what do they call that, the KY2?
Yeah, Y2K.
I just actually watched a documentary about that, about Y2K, and all these people that were prepping, they had these bunkers, and there's these old footage of them kind of laughing at people who weren't taking it seriously. It's like, well, I guess we'll be the ones that will, restart society and stuff. And then there's news clips a couple days later, and they're like, well, it's just better to be safe than sorry. You want to be prepared.
Those are the last people you want to restart society, too.
I was so afraid of that New Year's Eve.
Were you?
Right, 99 into 2000. I stayed home, and I didn't go to any of the parties I was invited to for New Year's.
People must be so disappointed you weren't there.
I turned down so many. You guys don't even understand. So many invitations, a lot of models, things like that asked me to go out. So I just ended up staying home.
And then also,
with my cousin.
If you would have gone to one of them, you would have felt bad for all the parties you didn't hit.
See, you know exactly what I was going through.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
The best part about Y2K was Y2J.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah, that was sweet.
As a wrestling fan, I can see why you'd say that.
I get such a kick out of these folks who keep pumping these end-of-the-world scenarios on their website or their podcast or whatever. I get such a kick out of it because, of course, all of these supposed end-of-days events end up being just an ordinary day. And then, like the article said, they always have some way to explain how it wasn't their prediction. That's ridiculous. There were other factors that got in the way. You know what I'm saying? And I know a guy like this. I do. Quite often, he makes phone calls and says, well, it's the end. Better hold on to something. And then it never happens. But yet he never wants to revisit his prediction. Or he'll try to explain it away. Well, this didn't happen and that didn't. I was right. I was going to be right, but this didn't play out the way it should have. It's just insane. They can never admit, I was wrong. They just can't say it.
I wonder what that is. That some people really can't just say, yeah, I messed that up.
It's madness. They just shrug their shoulders, and then we're supposed to listen to them again 3 months later when they say, well, here it comes. Well, that's what you said 56 effing times already.
I don't want to become a person like that can't take any responsibility or will always have an excuse and it's never my fault. But I am a little jealous of that. Can you imagine? You wouldn't feel any guilt after.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine never feeling guilt or
no self-doubt, nothing like that.
No second guessing yourself.
Nobody realizes you're genius.
I would love to hear what this crazy lady has to say. I would love to hear her explain this away. All right.
Shoot, are we moving on? I had some theories about the election. I kind of wanted to run down.
We can always make time for politic talk.
Yeah, new segment each day.
Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.
Bow, 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 bow.
The do-it-yourself tattoo. Always a terrific idea. Very mid-90s, wouldn't you say, Josh? The do-it-yourself?
I know a couple of people have done it recently, but you're right. It doesn't seem as popular as it used to be.
I have definitely thought about doing it multiple times.
You're a good artist. I could see you doing well.
That's what I wanted to do before I went to school. When I was in high school, I really wanted to be a tattoo artist. But then people were like, you don't get paid that much. And I was like, oh.
You don't?
So you got into radio?
Yeah. No, I got a science degree that I don't use.
Good point, Dana.
But no, I think some people do. I think it just takes a while to get your foot in the door somewhere.
Get your portfolio and your name out there.
Exactly.
I could see you being very good at. You like to hurt people, and you're a very good artist.
And and I don't mind blood. Sometimes they bleed.
Actually, you like blood a little too much for my taste.
Too much. Yeah, maybe that's what they'd be like. No. You got to stop licking people, Ashley.
A 35-year-old gal decided to have an amateur friend dump a tattoo on her arm. And it turned out looking a little bit like a hairy pecker.
Why would you get it on your arm?
Plus nuts. Folks online are calling it the hair penis tattoo. Now, first off, I know some grown folks who sat down back when they were kids and tattooed themselves or had somebody tattoo, an amateur when they were 15 or 16 years old. They're drunk, high, listening to House of Pain or something like that, trying to get attention from the ladies. This gal's 35. What the hell are you doing? Having a friend, an amateur? You're 35 years old.
She got it in one of the worst places to get a tattoo as well. You think that, you would want... if your friend was giving you a prison tat, you'd prefer for it to be somewhere that wasn't going to be so painful.
Okay,
it's in the crease of her elbow.
We're looking at it in different ways. When you're 35 years old, go see a friggin' professional. What are you doing? What are you doing? Sitting drunk at a house party, having a friend tattoo? That doesn't make any sense.
A buddy of mine drew my first tattoo, but I had a pro do it.
Right.
That's really cool.
So it says here, this 35-year-old gal learned that you should never mix booze with a tattoo kit from Amazon. Again, a lesson most folks learn when they're 16, whether it be firsthand or by word of mouth. Her name is Natalie. She and some friends were having a few drinkies. She and her friend tried the home tattoo gimmick. It turned out looking like a hairy penis. And she ended up going off to a hospital 3 days later with an infection.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Now she's been doing cover-up sessions with an actual professional tattoo artist. She says the tattoo was meant to be a heart with an arrow through it, but it looks like a hairy penis.
And you get a tattoo kit on Amazon for $45.
That seems very safe. Everybody should go do that right now.
Oh, wait, no, there's one for $35.
We're going to call this a hepatitis party.
Yeah.
Right?
She also got a few more tattoos that night from the same friend. This is her speaking. A weird spirally thing on my leg with an R on it, and a heart on my hand, and another arrow on my foot, and a semicolon thing on my wrist.
Dang, girl.
Boy, that sounds just great, doesn't it?
She's committed. It means a lot to her, all these tattoos.
I like this part. She says, my family was angry and told me I was stupid.
Well,
the cover-up work is pretty good.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, because it's a professional.
Yeah, true.
The semicolon, isn't that like a hope? It means hope or something like that?
mental health awareness.
Oh, it's mental
Something
health
with
awareness?
depression. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right, there you
Oh, yeah. Like, I think the exact thing is my story didn't end. It continued.
My story continues.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Josh, you want to play the audio of the bird who lives in a tree by a police station and has learned how to mimic the sound of a police siren?
Yeah.
Wow, we needed the that was
so cute.
I thought he was going to keep doing the same, beat over and over. That was impressive.
No, we're unpredictable around here.
Again, you heard it here first on the Half-Assed Morning Show. We'll play it for you again. This is a bird who lives in a tree by a police station that's learned to mimic the sound of a police siren. It's effing fun. That's all that is.
Yeah.
I don't want that in my house. Be a sweet bird.
It could be a ringtone for you.
Just scare all my friends up.
Yeah. You bring it to a party outside. Cops, cops, cops.
We had a bird. He ended up not making it when he crashed into our window the other day at about 200 miles an hour.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh, it was gross. Splat.
I hate that.
So bad.
The windows are too clean.
Well, I just had them cleaned for the first time ever last year. I'd never had that done before, and my goodness, there's a difference.
Yeah.
You can see outside now?
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the difference.
We have neighbors?
You know, the friggin' wife I got, right, Josh?
Yeah, I love her.
Pain in the ass. She,
in a way that's not creepy. I love her.
Oh, I don't care. You can have her. She's signed us up back-to-back years now for professional window washing, and I had it done about a month ago. Turned out he's a member of the Brotherhood.
Get out of town.
Cool.
Yeah, he left me a text message. I forgot he had some smart-ass comments. But, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. You don't really think about how much nicer it makes your joint look until you can actually see through the windows.
Did he tell you? So, with the guys, I thought, I had asked them, so what do I do, like every few years, schedule something like this? And they're like, well, for a lot of our clients, we do it twice a year. And I thought, oh, my gosh, I've been really slacking on it. I had no idea you're supposed to do it that often.
No. I didn't know anything about it either, but it's a hell of a deal.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Pelicans hold on. Driving into Murray. Somebody's throwing something on the floor. 46 seconds to go and a whistle blew. It's a chicken wing. Why would someone throw something that good out on the floor? It's crispy. It's warm.
Yes.
And I almost had to go out and I'm so hungry.
I hear your stomach over here growling.
What's that guy? I hope he eats it.
Tell me what wingy.
I'll tell you, Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller, they can do play-by-play of anything.
Yep.
And
They're so good.
And sound like professionals. Even a chicken wing being thrown out onto a basketball court. That's what happened last night.
If anything ever deserves a lifetime ban from sporting events, it's that. You don't throw a wing.
Well, maybe it sucked.
Even a bad wing.
Maybe they dropped it on the floor.
Maybe it was cold.
What if it was
Maybe it had all those
boneless wing?
purple veins and whatnot. You know, sometimes some of them get veiny.
Oh, I hate those.
I got a reason to throw a wing if there's veins in it.
There's some people that just power through that. They'll just eat them. I'm like,
Dana, what if it accidentally fell in somebody's tub of mayo?
Oh, yeah. Then you just throw the whole tub of mayo on the court.
You'd get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis eats the veins.
Curtis.
He's a vein eater.
Honestly, I eat wings so fast, I don't even notice, probably.
Oh, are you kidding me? There's no way you eat wings faster than Curtis.
Oh, yeah?
No way.
Are you one of those people that put like the whole wing in your mouth and just like pull it out?
No, not really.
That freaks me out when people do that.
He's the greatest I've ever seen.
Ugh, cartilage and stuff.
Is our furnace buzzing again, Josh?
I don't hear it. Oh, wait. I turned our mics off. That doesn't... It is going. Yep, I hear it now.
Can we dummy down a little bit and hear it real quick?
Oh, my God.
Okay. We played that earlier. We wanted folks to know what we're dealing with this morning. We got this furnace vent that's whining at us like that. I got a text from a listener that says, we all know that's not the furnace. We all know that's you and Josh cheating at chess again.
Yeah. Somebody was hoping I was wearing vibrating panties.
You got to know current stories to get the joke. You do. All right. Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder are coming up here about a half hour. Dad Fights Part 100 plus 65 is loaded and ready to go. I'm sure they'll want to talk about OJ. But let me just give you a friggin' idea of what's going on this weekend. The Twins are in Detroit all weekend. The Wolves wrap up the regular season with 2 home games. How do they call it? Atlanta Hawks tonight and the Phoenix Suns on Sunday. And the word is Carl's back tonight. We'll see about that. The Pigs are playing in Vegas tonight and then San Jose tomorrow night. Josh's News is coming up next.
Half-assed morning show.
They're loud, they lose control, they do their little circus act. They're a nuisance.
93X.
Our experienced and certified technicians at Standard Heating have been trusted to keep our fellow Minnesotans comfortable and confident for over 90 years. We're ready to do the same for you, providing comfort you deserve since 1930.
It is the triple savings spring sale at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Install a new furnace and AC combo and save up to $3,000 with manufacturer and utility rebates along with Standard Heating's discount. That's a trifecta. Visit standardheating.com.
Our house is a mess. Come on in. I'm Amber Wallen, internet comedian and host of your new favorite podcast, Fly on the Wall.
Okay, that's pretty presumptuous to assume that this is going to be their favorite podcast, by the way.
Anyway, that wasp that you just heard interrupt me is my husband.
And co-host, Benjamin Wallen.
Listen in as we discuss relationships and keeping our sweet baby kid alive.
Fly on the Wallen, wherever you listen.
Half-assed morning show. 93X.
It is a pursuit, and unfortunately it has a lot of mitigating circumstances because of the high profile of the proposed suspect that's inside the vehicle, which could possibly be and appears to be at this time O.J. Simpson.
As you've no doubt heard by now, O.J. Simpson, whose life as an American sports hero quickly soured when he was charged with the 1994 murder of his wife and her friend, died Wednesday from cancer. On the football field, Simpson was one of the game's all-time great running backs. He became a Heisman Trophy winner with USC in 1968. In 1969, the Buffalo Bills made Simpson the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Then in 1985, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. O.J. Simpson stayed in the spotlight after retirement, working as a commentator for Monday Night Football and continuing his acting career, notably in the Naked Gun trilogy and several commercials. But in 1994, his image changed forever. June 12th of that year, the bodies of his ex-wife and her friend were found outside her condo in the Brentwood area of Los Angeles. Simpson was a person of interest in the murders, but rather than turn himself in, 5 days later, he led police on a low-speed chase throughout Los Angeles as a passenger in a white Ford Bronco driven by former NFL player Al Cowlings.
One thing we have been noticing, again, it's a very slow pursuit followed by numerous highway patrol vehicles, but because of the intensity, it seems like people have heard about what's going on. The presumed vehicle of O.J. Simpson is still traveling very slowly northbound.
An estimated television audience of 95 million watched that drama unfold, with live coverage preempting regular programming, including the NBA Finals. His criminal trial began in January 95 and was labeled the trial of the century. Although widely presumed to be guilty of the slayings, his double murder trial resulted in a not guilty verdict.
Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
O.J. Simpson was 76.
You see, when he became a person of interest in his wife's murder, he immediately called a friend and said, "Get me the hell out of here," just like any other innocent person would do.
And then you'd go on later to write a book about if you did it, how you would have done it. You know, like any innocent person who wanted to distance themselves from that would do.
Insanity.
The Onion had a headline yesterday that read, O.J. Simpson allowed to remain living after coffin doesn't fit. A reference to a glove matching one found at the scene of the murders that didn't fit Simpson, leading to his lawyer saying the infamous line, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit."
What a unbelievable true story. By God, Cubby.
A Florida man was arrested after he allegedly hit a pool contractor in the head with a baseball bat during an altercation Tuesday. Owie. The Lee County Sheriff's Office said Richard Anthony Daniels, a 36-year-old man with an apparent temper, was arrested outside his home following the alleged attack. And from the sounds of it, his neighbors think he might be a smidgen of a douchebag.
When we stopped, we were like, oh, we want to watch this because there's always something at his house. It's always something new with him. He's an embarrassment to himself. This guy's a
He comes around this community. He thinks he runs in here.
Detectives said Daniels got into an argument with a man he'd hired to build his swimming pool. Daniels reportedly asked the man to leave, but an arrest report states the contractor said he was hired to be there and refused. Daniels then knocked the ball cap off the contractor's head.
Oh, that's how it starts, Josh.
It fell in the pool.
Oh, God.
The 36-year-old then went into his home, retrieved a baseball bat, and hit the contractor in the head. That contractor was left with a big bump on the side of his face, a bruised arm, and migraines. Daniels said there's another side to this story, which he plans on sharing, but according to his neighbors, he's the problem.
He's a very aggressive person. We've had many problems with him. There's always police at his house. There's just always something going on.
Daniels now faces a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Could have killed the guy.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
A California couple is detailing the terrifying turn of events when a tow truck tried to tow them while they were driving, and they can't figure out why. A San Francisco woman who requested they only use her first name, Joanne, described running errands with her husband Tuesday morning. While the couple were stopped at an intersection, they thought the yellow specialty towing truck was moving toward a nearby autonomous vehicle. But soon, it was getting a little too close for comfort.
We're at a stoplight, and we're just minding our own business. We started doing the reverse, and all the lights came on. That's when we were like, okay, something is really wrong, and his lever came down. We're freaking out. The first instinct was to make sure that we get away.
You can see in video taken by a witness, the tow truck makes several attempts to hook onto their 2017 Toyota Corolla.
What are you doing?
Fortunately, Joanne's husband was able to drive away, but the tow truck gave chase, and Joanne said the truck chased him for several blocks. Joanne and her husband were eventually able to lose the tow truck and drove back home. They maintained they didn't do anything wrong and still have no idea why they were targeted.
I bet it's scary, but this video is actually hilarious.
It is kind of, it's funny knowing everything turned out okay.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Yeah, they have no idea what was this guy's problem.
Is this guy trying to take my car?
What the hell was that movie again, Josh, with Emilio Estevez with the AC/DC soundtrack where the cars turn on us and just attack us?
Maximum Overdrive?
Maximum Overdrive.
A Minnesota woman who crashed into a Florida squad car and seriously injured a deputy had a blood alcohol level of nearly 4 times the legal limit.
Is that a problem?
Yeah, it can be. Sometimes you crash into a squad car, as in this case. The crash occurred about 11 p.m. Tuesday in the Florida Keys, while a 27-year-old deputy with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office was conducting a traffic stop. As he was walking between his car and another vehicle, a driver struck the patrol car and pinned him between the vehicles.
Well, we always say the most dangerous job of a law enforcement officer is either a traffic stop or domestic violence call. This continues to reiterate how unsafe traffic stops are, why we have the Move Over Act, and again, why not to be impaired while driving.
The deputy suffered injuries to his lower extremities and was airlifted to a hospital in Miami, where he's now in stable condition.
God dang.
The sheriff's office identified the suspect as a 26-year-old from Shoreview. At the time of the crash, authorities said she had a blood alcohol level of .310. The Minnesota woman was not injured in the crash, but is scheduled to appear in court later this month.
What are you doing?
That's no way to represent Shoreview. Come on. It's too bad. I hope that there's no permanent injuries, but it didn't look good.
What the hell's the matter with you?
Almost 30 years after a Dakota County deputy was killed in a crash, a portion of a county highway has been named in his honor.
About time. Definitely, it's a good thing. He deserves that.
Deputy Luther Klug was headed home when he heard an emergency call and offered to provide assistance, July 15th, 1996. When he finished and headed home again, he was hit by a drunk driver on Highway 316 and County Road 68 near Hastings. Klug, 36 at the time, died the following morning, leaving behind a wife and a young boy. During yesterday's ceremony, the Dakota County Sheriff said, "For those that pass this sign on this road, this is not just another sign. It's not here just to remind us of the life lost, but to honor and remember how Luther lived, who he was as a person, and who he represents." Klug's son, Jordan, a current sergeant in the Dakota County Sheriff's Office, who was one of dozens of local, county, and state law enforcement officials on hand yesterday morning to see the road renamed in his father's honor. And some good news, as a Hennepin County deputy was released from the hospital yesterday afternoon, a day after he was shot in the line of duty in Minnetonka. Law enforcement agencies from across the metro lined the entrance to Hennepin County Medical Center to stand in solidarity with the injured deputy. The deputy was one of 2 officers hurt after executing an arrest warrant related to a felony.
Where did he get shot? He's all right? He's walking? Everything's good?
Yeah, it looked pretty good. Marianne Baldwin, a mayor in North Carolina, is responding after a city council public comment session became heated Tuesday. In attendance was a woman identified as Catherine only. She held up her shoe, demanding leaders listen to her or she'd throw it.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Apparently, she was upset with the mayor because Catherine thought Mayor Baldwin was more engaged with her phone than she was with what her constituents were saying.
Marianne Baldwin, if I can keep from throwing the shoe at you, you can keep from off your phone while listening to your constituents talk. Please. Your people are trying to get you to hear them.
She then sniffed her shoe and put it back on. Baldwin released the following statement. Last night's gesture violated the rules of decorum and was inappropriate.
Well, what was the pressing subject?
They were talking about what's going on in Israel.
Oh.
So she was upset. Now in theaters, Nick Offerman and Kirsten Dunst in Civil War. In a dystopian future America, a team of military-embedded journalists race against time to reach D.C. before rebel factions descend upon the White House. Speaking of Civil War, of historical note, on this day, 163 years ago, 1861, the Civil War began, leading to 4 of the bloodiest years in American history. Nicolas Cage is back on the big screen in Arcadian. In the near future, on a decimated Earth, a father and his twin teenage sons fight to survive in a remote farmhouse at the end of the world, where ferocious creatures awaken and consume all living souls in their path. And the last main theatrical release this week, the reboot of the 1991 Christina Applegate comedy, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Really?
The remake follows a 17-year-old who becomes responsible for her brothers and sisters after their mom leaves the country. And the only lady she hired to watch them dies in her sleep. J.B. Smoove and Jay Farrow lead the voice cast of the new animated Netflix reboot of the 70s sitcom Good Times, released today.
Wait.
In the edgy reimagining of the TV classic, a new generation of the Evans family keeps their heads above water in a Chicago housing project.
Where can I see this?
Netflix.
And it's the descendants of the actual Evans family, James, Florida, JJ, Thelma, Michael.
I believe that's exactly right.
That is very interesting to me. Because I loved that show. I know you did too.
Me too. Which is why I'm going to skip this one. I sure did. I loved that show.
Is Lenny going to be featured?
Good question.
Do you remember Lenny?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, it's all new cast, but maybe they'll bring in some folks.
My name is Lenny. And how did he say that again? Oh, and if I don't have it, there ain't N-A. What about Ned the Wino? All right, what time is it?
Also available today, the Bryce Dallas Howard and Henry Cavill spy action comedy Argyle makes its Apple TV Plus streaming premiere.
Alderman Davis in the Good Time.
Here's a guy on IMDb.
You don't think I know the Good Times cast by heart?
And premiering on Apple TV Plus today as well, the limited series Franklin, starring Michael Douglas as Benjamin Franklin.
Remember when JJ joined that gang with Mad Dog? JJ got shot. He got shot.
Ryan Gosling hosts Saturday Night Live with music guest Chris Stapleton. Anthony Michael Hall will be 56 Sunday. WWE Hall of Famer Pete Rose turns 83. What? He's a WWE Hall of Famer.
I was just getting excited because I thought you were going to say I don't know, pick like Edge or something great, and then Pete Rose.
But it's not Edge's birthday. What? WWE Hall of Famer Pete Rose, 83.
Sorry.
Tomorrow, Sons of Anarchy, Hellboy, and Beauty and the Beast star Ron Perlman will be 74. Turning 77 today, late night legend David Letterman. Just 1 year older at 78 today, Modern Family and Married with Children superstar Ed O'Neill. Got a lot of shout-outs in the brother and sisterhood, so I apologize I had to shorten these up. So I'll throw a whole bunch in one sentence here. Shout-out to Claire, Addie, Abby, and Lucy. Shout-outs to I Swear I'm Over 18 Jesus, Adam and Justin, and Baked Bread Pimp Jesus. Happy birthdays to Clean Iowegian Jesus, Lawnmower HQIT Jesus, and happy birthday to our coworker and friend Christina, who has a birthday tomorrow. That's 93X News.
Care 11's Randy Shaver.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Show me right now. Fall on your ass right now. Don't hurt yourself now. No, seriously. When you're falling, right, and you know, a lot of guys falling, they try to catch. No, you do that. There you go. You don't do that. You don't try to catch yourself. Guys at home, don't be stupid. Your body is too much. It's got too much force. You're going to break your finger or your wrist. Fall on that ass, America. Get your arms up. You ain't going to hurt your hard-ass head, Shaq.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
And Charles Barkley last night on TNT gave what's the fancy term for it, Josh?
Demonstration?
There you go. A demonstration on how to fall on your ass. Played it right out on television. He was taught as a young NBA player to keep your hands. Don't use your hands to break your fall, because that's how you sprain a wrist. There was a situation last night in the New Orleans Pelicans game where Zion Williamson fell backward. So Charles threw himself onto the floor. Kenny and everyone had a riot with it. Shaq, the whole crew.
Charles can take a bump.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Let's welcome Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder onto the program. Hello, boys.
Good morning.
OJ died, you guys.
I'm sorry?
OJ died.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, heard that.
He's dead.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, I mean, I have many different stages of OJ. I mean, when I was growing up, USC, OJ.
Yep.
Amazing. Buffalo Bills, OJ, 2,000 yards in a season, OJ.
Right.
Hertz commercials, OJ.
Yep, the movie OJ. Yep, Hertz commercials. And then, of course, what happened in 1994. So it's just.
Well, I think that goes the same for everybody. Yeah.
I actually was on the radio that day when all that was happening.
You were married before?
On the radio.
That's what I'm saying.
I was married before.
There was
married to another station.
You were married to another station before us?
Yes.
I think I had heard that. I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
Yeah,
you were on the radio. You were on the radio when it happened.
Yes. So.
Doing it like an early evening show
on the day in the Bronco. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you were. Oh, well, this is like 6, 7 o'clock at night then. When the Bronco.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching the NBA Final.
Yeah.
So you were on the nighttime show. Okay.
That's crazy.
Anyway, it means something that we're your first morning show. It still means something that we're your first.
It always means something.
Yeah.
Gosh, settle down.
No, I'm just trying to sort together everything.
What I'm saying, though, is there's many stages of OJ, right?
Yeah, for everybody.
Everybody has different, I mean, for the younger generation, probably the only thing they know about him is that he was accused and acquitted of killing his wife and her friend.
Right. You have to... It's interesting to think how many years ago this was now. Yeah, for younger people, he's just, the dude who killed his wife. But, I kind of said the same thing when we opened up the mics this morning. I said, when I was a 5-6-year-old kid, there were no human beings I looked up to more than NFL players. And O.J. Simpson was, he was unbelievable. He was just simply one of the greats to ever play the running back position. So I thought very, very highly of him. Then he gets into movies. And one of my favorite all-time movies is The Towering Inferno. I still love that movie to this day. And OJ played a role in that movie, and I remember being a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. Oh my God, now OJ's an actor, and wow. I was... Then, as I got older, I dug him in the Naked Gun series. And as we discussed earlier, Josh and I kind of had the same reaction. When the Bronco video busted out that night on television, I laughed at the idea that OJ would be someone who could kill another person. When they said the suspect in his wife's murder, O.J. Simpson, I remember laughing, thinking, O.J. Simpson wouldn't kill anybody. What the hell? Who are these idiots that think it's...
I even loved his Hertz commercials as a kid. I thought those were great.
They're funny.
So, yeah, I think we all went through those stages, Randy. Yes, Brad Ryder.
That day, there's a lot of stuff that happened on that day of, excuse me, oh boy, sorry, of the Bronco chase, too. It wasn't
borrowed
just
some
that.
phlegm from Ashley, did you?
I did. Sorry about that.
I did, too, earlier.
It was Game 5 of the NBA Finals.
Right.
The New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup
I hated
that day.
that. Yes, I hated every second of that.
Arnold Palmer played his final round in the U.S. Open.
Nobody cares. Yeah, what else?
There was something else, too. There was a
There's
whole
a World
bunch of
Cup,
stuff that happened.
and Griffey Jr. is trying to tie Bruce's record.
Yes.
What is the documentary now?
June
There's a 30
17th,
for 30.
1994, it's called.
Yeah, there's a 30 for 30 with the documentary on it.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, a lot of stuff went on that day.
That documentary is cool because there's no overall narration. It's just going from news clip to news clip to news clip. It's not like, Rob Lowe is doing the voiceovers or
right.
something.
Nothing against Rob Lowe,
No,
of course.
no, we love Rob Lowe.
He's
but
a treasure.
I love that man.
But you're right.
He's gorgeous.
It was very well done. I dig the way they put that together with just news footage. But I thought it was a joke. I thought there's no way this effing guy... For God's sake, what a story. And the sumbitch is dead. And as far as we know, he took it to the grave, didn't he, Randy Shaver?
As far as we know.
As far as we know. He took it to the grave. Josh and I, again, sorry for those of you who've been tuned in since 5:40, but now that we got Randy and Brad on the line, we want to reiterate some of this stuff. Now I forgot where I was going with this. No, I really did forget where I was.
We both thought that on his deathbed he would confess.
Yes.
We'd finally get the story.
Well, we don't know that. Maybe he did.
Right. That's something we mentioned, too.
Right.
It's very possible
Maybe
that he did.
Maybe he came clean with his family decades ago. We don't know, but Josh and I both had a hope that it would play out that way, that on his deathbed, and I don't know if he had a deathbed, I don't know if he died suddenly or what, but if he had that opportunity, he might just say, look, I cut him to pieces.
Yeah, we don't know.
And if he did say he released that in a video or something or wrote something, it's up to the family now to release it. Do you think they'd do that?
I wouldn't.
If he said it on video?
If he put it in his will or
if he left
something,
a
I don't
video,
know.
if he left a confession, do you think the family will release it?
Hell no.
Absolutely not. They don't want any of that backlash.
They seem to have his back from the get-go, which is odd to me. Odd. There's loyalty to family, no doubt. I understand loving your family but
you do? I mean, I know you're dad, but I've never heard you say anything positive about any other family member.
In generalities, Josh.
Oh, sure. Okay.
In generalities.
Not personal experience outside of your father.
I understand the theory of loving your family. But you would think that, and of course, maybe these things happen and we don't know about it, but you'd think that someone, a son or a daughter or a niece or a nephew, at a family gathering would just finally say, all right, come on, that's it. Tell us what the hell happened. You know what I mean? So there you go. The guy is gone skis. Let me ask Randy and Brad a question. If you guys killed your wife, do you think you could keep it a secret?
Sure.
I don't think there's any way. No.
Should we test the theory?
She's clearly sleeping.
Clearly.
Brad, you wouldn't be able to get away with it because your kids are younger.
Well, not only that, but I mean, her family at some point would want to know where she's at, or I mean,
she went on a vacation.
What about the kids? I don't understand the kids' theory.
Because you're gonna be like, "Where's mom?" And like,
right?
Really,
Are you talking about like disappearing and not knowing where she is?
No, like the way OJ did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about a mysterious disappearance and then you just go on with your life.
That's what I thought you meant.
Yeah,
no, I said kill it.
No, I don't think I could do that either.
Because OJ hung on to it for a lot. If he didn't, he hung on, at least as far as we know, he hung on to that.
Yes, he did.
Well, after a while, people say that if you lie for such a long time, you start to believe your own lies.
Oh, yeah. Some people believe their own lies the first time it comes out of their mouth.
Yeah.
For some people, it doesn't need to have any mileage on it. They believe the BS immediately when it comes out of their mouth.
Certainly there's people that think when he wrote his book, If I Did It, that was his confession.
Exactly.
And a lot of my wife's friends listen to this program. I want to make sure it's clear that Randy is the one who said that he could get away with it, not me.
Well, you said you'd like to do it, but you didn't think you could get away with it.
Right.
You said you've been planning it, but you haven't figured out a way to get away with it.
You're a nervous guy, aren't you, Brad? You're just a nervous guy. Oh.
Have some confidence, Brad.
Yeah. How about that? For whatever reason, we were talking about dark stuff like this a while back. What were we talking about? Because I know it hasn't been that long since I mentioned this. I know a guy who woke up to his wife on top of him trying to kill him.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone remember the topic we were covering? It was no more than a couple weeks ago, or is this the liquor talking?
It was earlier this week or last week. We were talking about how to figure out if your significant other is poisoning you to death.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I know a guy. He woke up, lying in bed, sound asleep. And when he woke up, he had a plastic bag over his head and his wife was attempting to kill him.
Wow.
Well, I don't have to worry about the poisoning. My wife doesn't cook, so.
Boy, did we.
Wow. Oh, boy.
Oh, there was a lot of other ways to get it done, Brad.
Wow. Okay, well.
She knows it.
Like you said, friends are listening.
All I'm doing is I'm just stating fact.
Okay.
He seems a little salty about the situation.
That may be a fact, but I'm not sure she wants that out there for everyone to know.
Do you drink water or beverages, Brad?
I drink bottled water.
What do you think of bread and water for dinner?
See here, Brad Ryder, you were trying not to get yourself in trouble.
And you were doing a good job.
No, I'm not in trouble yet. You don't understand. She doesn't care.
Oh.
Either I cook or we eat in or we take out.
Boy, we busted that guy's balls when he came back to the bar for the first time, I'll tell you that.
By almost dying?
Whatever happened? I mean, did she? I don't know if you said this or not, but did she go to jail or anything? Or
I don't remember, because this was someone that I used to see very often, but I haven't talked to the sumbitch now in a long, long time. So I don't remember. No, he's still alive. I mean, I've seen him in passing here and there. I don't remember. I'm sure, I'm sure the lady must have gone to jail.
He did report it out?
Oh,
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. I don't remember the end result, but yeah.
How would you react in that situation?
No, he threw her across the room and said, "What the hell's going on?"
Oh.
Licensed therapist Jesus Brad said he doesn't do couples therapy, but he can make you a referral.
Oh, man. All right, so I suppose there you go. That's enough OJ, I guess. But I mean, it is one of the most incredible stories ever.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yes.
The story of his life and the trial and every effing thing. It is one of the most.
No doubt.
Yeah, all right. Twins are in Detroit all weekend. Got rained out yesterday.
Hopefully they'll get the games in starting today.
It's supposed to rain there today, too, I heard.
Oh, is it really?
What the hell are we supposed to do?
The Tigers just don't want to play us. They just don't have any interest.
They saw that beat down the Twins put on the Dodgers. They're afraid.
Right. Yeah, they don't want any part of us.
Now the Twins.
Great pitching matchup, though, if they do play today.
Ooh, Pablo and who?
And Skubal. Be a great pitching matchup today.
Now, the Twins are going to host some high school baseball games at Target Field this spring and summer.
Sweet.
This is something that you're involved in?
That would be really cool as one of those high schoolers. I would have been so pumped to be able to do something like that.
Well, I think they already host the state championship games.
Yep. Do they? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think, is this different than that?
Yeah. They're just hosting some regular season games. They're going to bring in. They're going to bring in Owatonna versus Red Wing. They're going to do a Prior Lake versus Shakopee, Edison versus Johnson. New Life Academy versus St. Agnes, Hopkins Rogers. And at the end of May, Randy Shaver, they're even going to have an all-Iowegian high school matchup.
Oh, really?
You want to know who's playing?
Yes.
Key. K-E-E.
Keewatin?
It just says Key.
Okay.
Located in Lansing, Iowa. Mm-hmm. Did you ever play them in
No, they were small.
Late 50s high school basketball?
Too small.
They were too small of a school. And Key will be playing South Winneshiek.
Winneshiek. Yep. No, too small.
All right. They're located in Colmar, Iowa.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where that is.
Friggin' Iowegians coming to town.
That's
Always
cool.
a problem.
Probably northern Iowa would be my guess, or probably near the border, so it's not as far a drive. So
sure. Oh, I know a couple guys who, back in the day, they used to play the high school championship games at the old Metrodome.
They did.
Which is, of course, just like we've discussed before, like when they used to have the soccer games there. Hey, let's take the most important game. The soccer championship used to be there. Let's take the most important game of the year and have the kids play on a surface that's completely unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Ball bounces so high in the air.
Crazy. Yeah.
My senior year, we got one game away from doing that.
I got to play a game at the Metrodome, the Prep Bowl. But let me rephrase that. The team I was on got to play a game at the Metrodome.
Talking about football.
Yeah, football.
The Prep Bowl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, another dude that I used to drink with. Haven't seen him in a while. Oh, maybe I'll try to get a hold of him and get you the details on this. But his team, made the state high school title game in baseball, and they were up by a pile of runs. So they put this old pal of mine in right field. Let's give the senior right. He never played. He sucked. He never played, right? But we're up 7 runs. Let's put Dinkus in right field. What could it hurt? And he screwed the whole thing up.
Oh no!
He did. He became the
goat.
The goat.
Mm-hmm. Before goat was a good term.
Yeah. A couple of bloopers to right field. He misplayed it. Oh, now we're only up 4, and then a pop fly went over his head.
Just out of curiosity, what year was that?
I'm not telling you what year. Well, I wouldn't know exactly. I'd say early 90s.
Okay. Well, then it wasn't what I was thinking.
Yeah. And then pop fly, he lost it in the roof, and now it's a tie game. And all of his classmates, what are you doing? You blew it for us.
It sucks.
It's awesome is what it is. I guess the Houston Astros aren't having a great season so far, which I'm sure is breaking hearts all over Major League Baseball.
Oh, no.
They had a starting pitcher. Was this yesterday? Yeah. Day game against the Royals. Hunter Brown is how he...
Yes.
They're calling it the worst first inning in the history of Major League Baseball.
Base hit center field. That is a 7-run bottom of the first inning. Ball this year. Deep right field. I've run out of things to say.
And he gets another hit.
9 runs, 11 hits in the bottom of the first inning. And MJ takes ball 4, and the bases are loaded. And out of all this mess, that's the only walk given up by Hunter Brown.
That was our guy, Ryan Lefevre, Randy.
Yes.
I recognize that name.
Yep.
Yeah. Ryan was an intern for me, actually.
Yeah.
Well,
Ryan was my road roommate for Gopher Baseball one year.
Yeah.
Roommate. We know what the road roommates do.
Yeah.
Little
9
experiment.
earned runs, 11 hits, all given up by Hunter Brown in 2/3 of an inning.
Yeah, that's bad. They're calling it the worst first inning ever.
And I'm also going to call myself the best fantasy baseball manager ever because I dumped his ass before this week. I had him in a couple of teams and have dumped him before this week started.
The Wolves wrap up the regular season with 2 home games, one tonight against the Atlanta Hawks and Sunday against the Phoenix Suns, and apparently Carl is back tonight.
That's what the rumor is.
Listed as questionable, but they'll probably try to mix them in. They have to. They have to try to at least get him in one of these 2 games.
Right.
Carl. There go Carl right there, we might be saying tonight.
I mean, these games still mean something. I mean, it's not that they don't have a chance to be the number 1 seed. Crazier things have happened. They've got to treat it that way. They're tied with Oklahoma City for the 2 spot. Still trying to figure out who they might play. I think it's a little bit more clear now. I mean, Dallas and the Clippers could exchange 4 and 5. New Orleans looks like they're, between New Orleans and Phoenix, one of those teams is going to be 6 and the other one's going to be in the play-in. So, I mean, things are kind of starting to shape up. But the Wolves still have, if Denver were to somehow crap the bed, there's a chance that the Wolves could end up the number 1 seed. So, got to treat it that way.
You got to treat it that way. You do, I'll tell you that. The Pigs are planning on playing in Vegas tonight and San Jose tomorrow night, but if it doesn't happen, I read it right here, if it doesn't happen, who cares? Sidney Crosby last night became the 14th NHL player to reach 1,000 career assists, and he also bumped his way into the top 10 on the all-time leading scorers list. He bumped Phil Esposito out the way. So now he's the 10th all-time leading scorer. And like I said, 1,000 career assists. With guys like Wayne Gretzky, Ronnie Francis, Mark Messier, Ray Bourque, Jaromir Jagr, Paul Coffey, Joe Thornton, Adam Oates, Steve Yzerman, Gordie Howe, Marcel Dion, Mario Lemieux, Joe Sakic, and now you see Sidney Crosby there on the 1,000 assist list. He thinks he knows how to play, that Sid Crosby.
Yeah, I think he's proven himself a few times.
Disrespectful, by the way, to bump Phil Esposito out of that top 10. Be a good Canadian. Scores from that Frozen Four college hockey tournament goes like this. Denver beat Boston University by a final of 2-1 in overtime. Boston College shut out Michigan 4-0. So the title game, as far as I could understand when reading the paper, the title game, Pioneers-Eagles.
And that's Saturday, right?
I don't know.
Saturday night.
I don't know.
What were the crowds like yesterday?
I don't know.
They announced like 18,000, I saw.
Okay. All right.
They have announced sellouts. Now, I don't know if everybody went, but
sure.
Yeah.
I guess when they announced 18,000, though, the game was so out of hand that it looked more about 6,000 left in the arena.
They're all on West 7th.
Yep.
It's a hell of a deal. Okay, go ahead with your golf nonsense.
The Masters, they're resuming round 1 because of a almost 3-hour rain delay yesterday to start the whole thing. But they're off and running this morning. And, Tiger's, he's out there. He's not.
That's the thing you say about me playing golf.
He's doing stuff.
Dana's on the course.
He's not out of it yet by any means, but and that'll be exciting if he can hang in there and make the cut. He's even after 16 holes. But the leader is Bryson DeChambeau at -7. Scotty Scheffler, the heavy favorites, at 6 under. And like I said, round 2 will pick up today after they conclude round 1 this morning.
I watched the replay of the broadcast for a little while last night and watched Woods' first 2 or 3 holes. He does look like he's a little out of shape, though. I wonder. I mean, he hasn't played a competitive round in a long, long time.
Yeah, but he said in the pre-thing, Brad, if he thinks he's got a chance to be competitive.
Oh, I'm sure he thinks
he's been playing pretty good. So.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably playing okay, but my point is he was sweating up a storm by hole 3 yesterday, and he just doesn't look like he's in great shape, which is to be expected when you haven't played.
Even watching him walk on the course, you can see it's just getting to him. He's kind of limping once in a while, too.
Yep.
Who cares?
Well, he's not a young guy.
No, he's not.
48.
Didn't OJ love golf?
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Just think, if OJ just would have picked up a golf club and beat up his wife's car, like Tiger's wife did to him, he would have gotten all those aggressions out, and we wouldn't have had the conversations we've had this morning, Josh.
Probably so.
Yeah, maybe they would have made a couple more Naked Gun movies or something.
Mm-hmm.
They are making a new one, aren't they?
I have no idea.
I believe you're right. Is it John Hamm? Or am I getting that confused with a different movie?
Is it Liam Neeson?
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe that's it.
Here we go again with the remakes, the totally unnecessary remakes.
Yeah, next year there's a Liam Neeson Naked Gun reboot.
That sucks. What's his nuts? Leslie Nielsen's going to be spinning in his friggin' grave.
Yeah, I don't really see Liam Neeson as a comedy guy.
But if OJ just would have picked up a golf club and maybe beat the piss out of his wife's car, I need you to take your name, my name? What was it again, Josh? Take my name off your phone.
Remember when that became a slow jam?
Yeah.
I think we got that somewhere.
Tiger was calling his side pieces, when the wife caught him and said, I need you to take my name off your phone. All right, well, here goes nothing, Walt. We'll put down the porn and start up that song. Man, you want to hear a joke that I guess you would call it a callback? I think you'd call this a callback in the business. March Madness Jesus just texted in and says, you know who's a great guy who would never kill his wife? Nick Saban.
Oh, he's the best.
Yes. Miss Terry?
Pardon me?
Miss Terry?
Is that the name of his wife?
Mm-hmm. That's what he calls her all the time.
Miss Terry, huh?
Well, that's what you do in the South, yeah.
It does seem very Southern.
Yeah.
When I spent time in the South, all the married ladies were Miss this or Miss that. Yeah, that's a hell of a deal. Nick Saban, yeah, he wouldn't kill his wife. I agree with you, March Madness Jesus. Okay, welcome to our Friday goat rodeo called Dad Fights, where random trivia questions lead to lots of whining and complaining. Randy Shaver, the ass man, versus Brad Ryder, the lonely boy. It'll likely go down as one of the great rivalries that no one ever truly cared about.
Yes.
I hope you fellas were listening earlier. Josh let us know that today is David Letterman's 77th damn birthday.
Oh, boy.
One of the greats in television history as far as talk show hosts go.
Yep.
If you ask me, I'd go Magic Johnson, Rick Dees, Carson Daly, and then Dave Letterman.
Carson Daly.
I remember that show.
What about Chevy Chase? You wouldn't put him on there?
No. He was terrible.
That show was so bad.
The Chevy Chase show?
No, the Carson Daly show.
What?
I know it was on NBC. I'm sorry, Randy, but
I don't care.
He's got a month and a half left.
Trust me. In a while, I'm not going to care about anything.
Yeah, Randy stopped caring about NBC's reputation a long time ago.
Well, they did it to themselves by their primetime programming.
You were the first one. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because why would there have been another? But I remember being shocked the first time we were talking about some NBC program and you said, man, that show blows. And I thought, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to toe the company? That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember a couple.
I think I remember that. I think it was a 9 o'clock show, too. It was a lead-in to you, and you still admitted it sucked.
Well, they're still bad. So.
I hope you fellas were Letterman fans. I really do.
Early days of Letterman, the early shows.
Yes.
Yeah, they were better.
Today, to honor the man's birthday, we're going to be quizzing you on Letterman's late-night television career. Whether it be when he was on NBC or CBS or whether it was the late night or the late show, whatever, it doesn't matter. The guy had some great shows, great moments, and we're going to find out what you remember. Just to help you out a little bit, mainly, what's the problem?
I just think this is going to be an easy win for Brad.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Here we go again.
I like Letterman, but it's not one of my...
I watched his show a lot when it was on NBC, but I did not when it was on CBS, so...
I think even if you've never watched Letterman, the clues are such that you'll be able to get the answers.
Well, I'll help you out a little bit. I mean, mainly we're asking about some of the great guests, the great interviews that Dave put on. That program was damn near all I cared about from the time from the time it started. I was around 11 years old in 1982 when Dave Letterman started. And it stuck with me. I never missed a program all the way through high school. I lost interest a little bit after that, but I did love that show. Here's how we play out dad fights, of course. You want to be the first to shout out the correct answer. If you are correct, you'll hear my little bell ski over here. We played some funny audio earlier. You guys got to hear this now. Josh found audio of a bird that lives in a tree, like a lot of them do. And that tree happens to be stuck in the ground at a police station. And the bird, from hanging out there, has learned how to perfectly mimic the sound of a police car's siren. That's the sound we're going with today if you are incorrect. Call the cops. You suck. Okay. That's the sound you're going to hear if you're incorrect. You can, of course, steal an answer from your opponent if they are incorrect. 10 questions plus a tiebreaker. Now, I guess this is a special day. And also a sign that, we need intro people.
Maybe a sad day more than anything.
We're smooth out of listeners who are willing to record an intro for a Dad Fight segment, because today, to introduce the game, apparently we have Wapple singing us a song.
Dad Fights featuring Randy and Brad. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Get ready for Dad Fights. It's a trivia game where you use your brain power.
Randy or Brad, which one will it be? Randy or Brad, who picked the trophy? Randy or Brad, which one will it be? Randy or Brad, who's betting their money? Dad Fights, gotta get ready for Dad Fights, featuring Randy and Brad, yeah. Here comes 165.
Wonderful.
Loved it.
Once more from the top.
Can I download that as my ringtone, please?
As covered in metal, Jesus so eloquently put it, WTF is happening.
All right, so please send us an email to hams93x@gmail.com. Please, if you'd like to do an introduction for a Dad Fight trivia contest. We need it badly than we ever. How do I say that? We need that more. Go ahead, Brad.
Can I ask what the surprise was last week that got blown or not? Or
No,
surprise.
We'd like to make it happen again.
Okay, all right.
Last week we didn't have a fight because we were working on something. We're not going to give that away yet because, by God, we're still working on it. When you send us that electronic mail, give us your name and your phone number. We'll get you lined up. Okay, so Dad Fights, part 100 plus 65, the David Letterman edition. Brad Ryder versus Randy Shaver. Settle down, Randy. You'll be all right. Did I do something wrong?
No. You're fine.
Oh.
Letterman got quite a birthday surprise on his 48th birthday in 1995 when his guest, now a talk show...
I've never seen
What
the
are you
show.
What are you talking about? Oh, I'm not going to do very good.
She flashed him. That's the only thing I'm going to know.
Yeah. Dang it. Look how long this question was. I thought there's no way they're going to get this.
Show a little respect for the work that Cubby puts into this damn thing.
No, I'm trying to win.
It's
Sorry.
a 5-paragraph question that he wrote up.
I kept adding things because I thought, maybe they're not going to get this. But yes, you got that very quickly. Drew Barrymore, she flashed him.
You know, I can't thank you enough for that.
Drew Barrymore flashed Dave on his 48th birthday.
Well, that was something.
She was in Playboy. And soon after her Playboy pictorial, her godfather, Steven Spielberg, gave her a quilt for her birthday with a note that read, "Cover yourself up." Enclosed in the quilt were copies of her Playboy pictures, which had been altered by his art department so she was fully clothed. That was just a couple of months before that flashing.
Wait a minute. She was in Playboy now. I've got a pile of those old editions of Playboy from that time period. I don't remember.
You better look that up.
I'm going to have to look through
the January 1995 edition.
I'm going to have to look through the, what do you call
stack.
it? The stack, yeah.
Did you get it in 95?
I don't know. That's what's torturing me is that I have a pile of Playboys from that era. I don't recall Drew Barrymore's being naked. So I'm going to have to sit in the basement this afternoon and go through every damn last one of them. 1-0 Randy Shaver. Quite suddenly, Brad, didn't it become 1-0 Randy Shaver? All right, here we effing go. In 1982, Letterman show was the stage for one of the more infamous moments in television wrestling history. Comedian and self-proclaimed intergender wrestling champion of the world, Andy Kaufman, got slapped straight smooth across the mug after starting trouble with the king of all
Jerry Lawler.
That's right. After starting trouble with the king of all professional wrestling, named the man who cracked Kaufman across the yapper, and Randy is correct, Jerry the King Lawler. Legendary stuff. After Andy got cracked in the yap, he stormed off the set and then came back cursing and swearing at Lawler. Some people thought the whole thing was legit. I don't know how the hell you could have believed that would, but anyway. Jerry came clean about it in his 2000. He didn't need to, but he came clean about it in his 2002 autobiography, where he detailed how Kaufman and Jerry concocted the whole thing together. That whole scenario with Kaufman wrestling in the South in the early 80s was just brilliant.
Yep.
It was brilliant.
People wanted to kill the dude.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. He was a fearless dude.
He really was. I love that guy.
2-0 Randy Shaver with the correct answer of Jerry the King Lawler.
David Letterman's bitter relationship with fellow comic and late-night host Jay Leno has been well documented over the years. But Leno wasn't the only TV host Dave clashed with. There was also a decades-long feud between Dave and an iconic Chicago-based daytime TV host dubbed the Queen.
Oprah Winfrey.
Brad in with the correct answer, Oprah Winfrey. Dave and Oprah have since made up, and they said they don't even really remember how it all started, and Oprah says it was blown out of proportion. Oprah had a couple rivalries. Didn't she have one with Howard Stern, too?
I think, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, Stern kind of had one with everybody, almost.
Yeah, that is a good point.
See, I didn't follow that. Now, Josh, and that's a point for Brad Ryder. It's now 2 correct answers for Randy and 1 for Brad. Josh, being a big Oprah fan, do you remember this rivalry, and did you take her side?
I don't really remember it
I don't
either.
remember that at all.
Yeah.
For about a year and a half, he did a thing every day on his show called, he opened up the Oprah log because he wanted Oprah to be on his show. So Paul Schaefer do this whole thing, like sing the song, "It Ain't Oprah, Till It's Oprah." And then Dave would open up the Oprah log, and he'd be like, all right, March 9th, 2000. He bring out Sheila Rogers, the guest booker. He goes, Sheila, have we heard from Oprah? Nope, no word. All right, no word. And all right, close the Oprah log. And then Schaefer played the song again. And it's this big whole bit that they did for like a year and a half. It was classic Letterman, just stupid humor. Nope, no word. All right, add that to the log. And then they just move on.
I definitely wasn't watching during that time period. I don't remember.
Yeah, I missed that as well.
Somebody sent me a picture of the Playboy magazine edition with Drew Barrymore on the cover, and I can tell by looking at the cover, I do not have this edition. And I'm going to have to swing by Schindler's.
I did like when I told you it's January 1995 and you followed it up with, I'm going to have to look through every Playboy I have to see if I can find it.
I'm going to have to go to friggin' Schindler's.
Good luck finding a Schindler's that's open anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was just going to ask if
that's the joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You friggin' guys. 2-1 Randy Shaver, the David Letterman edition of Dad Fights for his 77th birthday. Dave's 77. Name the big-time pop music diva / sex symbol who showed up on the Letterman
Madonna.
Showed up on the Letterman Show in 1994 and dropped 14 F-bombs, smoked a cigar, refused to exit when her time was up, gifted Dave a pair of her panties, and even asked him to sniff them. And Brad is correct. The answer is Madonna. Very controversial at the time, wasn't it, Brad Ryder?
Yes.
Did you record that on VHS?
No, I do remember watching it, though.
Yeah, that was a big moment for Dave and Madonna. Boy, she was really filthing it up in 94, wasn't she?
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had that book. She had that book.
Was that called Sex?
It was called Sex.
What was it about?
Sex.
Oh, no.
I've told you this story before. One of my oldest pals. Tough for me to talk about him because I love him so much and I never see him anymore. Pistol Pete from across the... Brad, I'm telling a story.
Okay, sorry.
Pistol Pete from across the street. We hung out all the time back in 94. We hung out so much that sometimes he'd call me and invite me over and I'd say no thanks. So this was one of those nights. Pistol Pete calls. He says, come over, drink some beer. I said, no. And he said, I got the new Madonna book. It's called Sex. I said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. So we're tied at 2?
Tied it 2.
What were you going to say, Brad?
Yep. I was just going to say, I think he also asked her to go kiss a studio audience member, or dared her to, during that interview.
I don't recall.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine she probably did.
I don't know if she did or
did
not.
it? Oh, okay.
She did, and in the end, it was Chris Elliott in costume or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love Chris Elliott.
He was funny on that show.
Yeah.
Dave interviewed an estimated 16,000 guests during his 6,080 shows he did between Late Night on NBC and The Late Show on CBS. The very first guest...
Bill Murray.
Yes.
Wow.
I was both his first guest on the NBC and CBS shows, Bill Murray. That was going to be the question. Taking the Murray-Letterman connection a couple steps further, Bill was also the first guest on Dave's short-lived daytime talk show and the last guest on Dave's final episode of The Late Show in 2015.
Bill Murray, sure, absolutely. And that gives Randy a 3-2 lead. Guy said he wouldn't know anything about this.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
You're right. These are
playing possum.
It's the clues, isn't it, Randy?
Yes, it is.
All right, I have a feeling this one's going to go fast. Be ready. Dave is a big basketball fan, so it was only natural that he'd have fun on live TV with the, quote, voice of the New York Knicks.
Marv Albert.
Named the legendary broadcaster who made 53 appearances over the years on The Letterman Show, playing a video reel of the wild and the wacky bloopers from the world of sports. Brad Ryder is correct with the answer of Marv Albert. The Albert Achievement Awards, they used to call them.
That was good. They were so funny together.
They were really good. That was back in the day when when there wasn't a lot of that kind of stuff on TV.
Before the internet.
Yeah, so when those guys came on, it was always fun because these are things you'd never seen before. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does that make the score, Wapple?
Is it tied?
Tied 3-3.
Throughout the years of his talk show dominance, plenty of guests were starstruck by Letterman. But every so often, the tables were turned, leaving Dave with stars in his eyes. None more so than in 1994 when Dave's longtime friend and comedic hero
Johnny Carson
made a surprise cameo, yes. Johnny Carson is the correct answer. Carson would privately send Dave potential monologue jokes and always got a kick out of it at home when Dave used his material. After Carson's death in 2005, Dave paid tribute by doing a monologue completely made up of those jokes from Carson.
Brad Ryder possibly pulling away here, Randy.
Greatest talk show host of all time.
Oh, he was great. He was so
Johnny
awesome.
Carson. Unbelievable.
I don't know.
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Not even close.
Yeah, he knew when to play the straight guy. And
Not even close, man.
I liked him and everything, but
Oh, my God. He was the best.
I don't know.
How about those times when Don Rickles was on Carson and Rodney Dangerfield? And
Don Rickles and Rodney Dangerfield could be funny sitting next to anybody.
True, but he knew how to play the straight guy. Yeah.
He's overrated. Now people are
overrated.
People are.
You're overrated.
Oh, wow! I probably deserve that. People are sending me naked pictures of Drew Barrymore from her Playboy magazine from 19. Boy, she looks what?
How do those people have it handy?
Right.
I don't know.
Pictures.
Who are? Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
You'd think, I'm one sick puppy, but I still don't know how to send a naked picture. I don't. So I cherish these moments. Thank you. 4-2, Brad. You need one, Randy.
I think it's 4-3.
I think it's 4-3.
Yep. That's what I said. That's what I said. All right. What is this? Is this mine?
Yeah. Now it's you.
Oh, God.
Number 8.
Oh, okay. Jesus, I thought we were... One of the most popular bits over the years on The Letterman Show featured moments like dogs playing basketball.
Stupid pet tricks.
Did you guys write a book about Letterman that we don't know about?
That was easy. That's just too easy.
Featured moments like dogs playing basketball, a horse that fetches drinks out of the refrigerator, and a dog that went down a slide with a monkey on its back. Named this feature Letterman sketch. It has now become a current program on TBS hosted by a comic named Silvers Sibelman.
Sarah Silverman.
The correct answer is Stupid Pet Tricks. Nice job, Brad Ryder. You can find some of the greatest Letterman Stupid Pet Tricks ever aired on YouTube. I recommend you find the pug that says I love you. and a duck that eats cottage cheese out of its owner's mouth.
Oh, I remember that one.
How do you think to try that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dave.
Oh, God.
And how much do you have to practice it before you get it right?
That's the thing. Like, some people might think just eating out of the mouth is gross, but they're like, no, let's make it grosser. What can we put in there? Cottage cheese.
I love cottage cheese.
What's something that's
I
the
do too,
consistency
but
of spoiled milk?
Watching somebody eat it out of somebody's mouth seems worse
Yeah, that would ruin it for me.
than like a carrot or something.
I hate cottage cheese, and I don't want to see something being... But it's an adorable duck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I bet I like the
Ducks
video.
are cute.
Ducks are always cute.
All right. Now is where Randy needs a point pretty badly, doesn't he, Wapple?
Finish him.
Oh.
Might be it.
He didn't even say anything. He just hit the finish him button. Damn.
Dave's format for a regular show typically included a monologue, top 10 list, pair of guests, and then a musical act toward the end. But he broke that routine October 30th, 2002, by devoting the entire show to a famous rock musician who had been recently diagnosed.
Warren Zevon.
Fatality.
You win.
And the final score of Dad Fights, part 100 plus 65, the David Letterman edition. The final 6 correct answers for Brad Ryder, 3 for Randy Shaver, I think was the final. I'm not 100% sure. Brad with the win. I didn't know that. I'd never heard about this.
I thought that was going to be the toughest question.
I think it was, actually. I mean, they didn't hop on it right away. I didn't know this. So David Letterman was a big fan of Warren Zevon.
I guess they were good buddies.
Yep. Zevon came on.
He came on when he announced he had cancer. And the interview is often cited as an example of however goofy and funny Dave could be, he could be equally poignant and sincere.
You know who else loved Warren Zevon? The Body.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't Jesse have Warren Zevon perform at his, what do you call it when you become governor? His inaugural ball? Or, I don't know. That's what I thought I remember. Jesse loved the song Werewolves of London, and I swear to God, he had Warren Zevon come on. I saw the werewolf having a drink at Trader Joe's. His hair was perfect. It's the Werewolves of London.
It looks like Jesse even sang with him on stage.
Oh,
at
no,
yeah,
he sang.
Yeah.
We just played the audio of it, Wobble.
Yeah. Did he sing? We were going to also ask you in this Letterman quiz, we were going to ask you about the Joaquin Phoenix incident.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, really, all that Joaquin Phoenix was doing was ripping off Crispin Glover. Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember? I watched that when it happened live. Wow. The Crispin Glover incident. What was that, 85? Is Dana the only guy that knows what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah. Sounds like it.
Crispin Glover, who played Marty McFly's dad in the Back to the Future setup. And he was also in that really kind of creepy movie River's Edge back in the 80s. Most folks know who I'm talking about. He came on Letterman's show. He's wearing a wig. He's dressed like a jackass from 1973 or something, and he just had a flip out. He threatened Dave with karate kicks, and then he ran off the set.
Yeah,
he tried to kick him in the head.
He did.
He ran off the set.
He's wearing big old shoes too. If you had connected, Dave would have been in trouble.
And it was legit. Mm-hmm. That wasn't set up.
Here's the thing: is I don't know if Letterman ever said anything about it. But to this day, Crispin Glover just will not say anything about it. Whether it was a setup, whether he was on drugs, as far as I know, Crispin Glover has kept it a secret for almost 30 years, 40 years now, whatever the time period is.
He's an odd dude.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you have to watch that segment.
I took it as it was a legitimate interview to start, and then Letterman kept egging him on, and he just got more pissed as it went on. But
could be. Again, maybe, for you younger people, look that up. You'll go, damn, what the hell was that? And Crispin Glover was interesting dude. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So there you go. Randy and Brad, nice work. Nice talking to you. Have a nice weekend.
Sounds good.
I wish you all things nice. And check out that Drew Barrymore Playboy edition.
I didn't know she had tattoos like that.
She's got tattoos. Dana, by God, she doesn't. All right, here we go. Coming up next, lawyer Ryan Pacyga is going to stop by for a visit. I guess if you have any questions, text us, 6'5". Maybe you're in legal trouble. Maybe you want to get someone in legal trouble. 651-989-9393. Ryan Pacyga coming up.
Half-assed morning show.
They're loud, they lose control, they do their little circus act, they're a nuisance.
93X.
Our experienced and certified technicians at Standard Heating have been trusted to keep our fellow Minnesotans comfortable and confident for over 90 years. We're ready to do the same for you, providing comfort you deserve since 1930.
It is the triple savings spring sale at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Install a new furnace and AC combo and save up to $3,000 with manufacturer and utility rebates along with Standard Heating's discount. That's a trifecta. Visit standardheating.com.
Named one of the best personal finance podcasts, The Stacking Benjamin Show with Joe and his friends makes financial literacy fun.
Work hard and save your money. That way, when you're old like me, you can buy the things that only young people can enjoy.
Squirrel watching.
You heard it here first. Get yourself a squirrel cam, spend $30 a month on nuts, and you'll be at early retirement before you know it.
No, Piggy, this is the road to a podcast nobody listens to.
Find out more by searching the Stacking Benjamins podcast, wherever you listen.
They want to glorify the fact that they're criminals. It's dumb. These guys are dumb. They deserve to be tossed under the jail just for being dumb.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show.
All right, here we are. It's 8:31. Before we get to our next guest, I got to share this with you because I think you'll find it interesting. A handful of minutes ago, we were talking about Drew Barrymore being naked as the day she was born in Playboy magazine sometime in the mid-'90s. And I was racking my brain. Do I have that one at home? Because I got a lot of Playboy. I don't have it. A listener sent me some information. There's a website out there that features nothing but sexy pictures of Drew Dan Barrymore, and the website is called The Drewseum.
Sweet.
That's kind of unnerving, isn't it? If I was Drew Barrymore,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want.
I would not like that.
All right, our next guest is here in studio, looking handsome. Big shot lawyer Ryan Pacyga. If you have a question for Ryan, text us 651-989-9393. Good morning, Mr. Pacyga.
Good morning.
It's been a while. How you been, Dan?
I've been good, brother. I do have an objection, though, to your story that you claim that you don't have that magazine at your house. I think you do. If you went to issue VII1 and you open the middle pages, you would find out that you have it. It's just that the pages are stuck together now.
Son of a bastard, you. You know, this is really kind of fitting, I guess, Ryan, to have you in studio. The day after OJ Simpson died, because it was the trial of the century. Take us back to 94, 95. Where were you? Were you already working professionally? Were you drawn to the whole thing?
Get this whole thing. So I didn't go to college right after high school. I was working construction on what's called the grounds crew for the Minnesota State Fair, okay? So they have people who work year-round there, right? There's a lot of stuff to do, building stuff, cleaning the buildings, making things, painting, you name it, right? And I was working that. And so during that time that trial was on, we were watching it like in the break room live.
Of course.
I can't remember if I was about 19 years old, whatever I was, but I was watching that when I was working.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a younger man than I thought you were.
I'll be 50 in May.
Okay. I thought we were a little closer. So you were damn near fresh out of high school.
Yeah, somewhere in that. I don't remember what year it was, the trial, but I remember watching
95.
it.
Was it a source of inspiration in any way, shape, or form to push you in? No, you didn't.
I had no idea I wanted to be a lawyer until halfway through college.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know any lawyers or anything.
What did make you decide to do that?
Get this, I was reading an article. I went to the University of Minnesota, after I transferred from a junior college, and I was reading an article in the Dinky Dome, this kind of food court area, right? Mm-hmm. And it was about a hate crime that happened. It was in the Minnesota Daily, their school newspaper, and it was apparently racially motivated, right? Where one group of people beat up another kid and they were calling them racial names and everything. And I grew up right on the border of like Midway and Como area and St. Paul, and back in that area of the city, right? Like all kids play with all kids, no matter what your race, religion, economic status. You're all mixed together there. And you just all get along as kids unless someone's a jerk. Then you don't like them because of their background. You don't like them because they're a jerk, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm reading this article, and at the end of reading the article, I was sitting alone at a table in this food court, and I had tears in my eyes. They weren't coming down my face, but like my eyes were wet.
Sure.
And I remember looking around in the food court, and I kind of realized that people were kind of self-segregating in a way like you might find in a lot of places. Different racial groups sitting at different tables together. Maybe the kids with the nice clothing or backpacks were at certain tables, and other people who didn't have as much money at different ones. And it just kind of dawned on me right there when I was sitting that, and this voice inside of me said, F this, I want to fight against this. And it was literally like a lightning bolt hit me. And I decided right then and there that I wanted to become a lawyer. But I didn't know, I kind of thought I'd be like a civil rights lawyer or something and fight for fairness for everybody, no matter what it was it was age discrimination, race, gender discrimination, I mean, you name it. I just wanted to fight for fairness. And so that was the idea. 9/11 happens. I graduate law school right after 9/11. There's no jobs out there, right? The economy went to hell. I get my first job at a law firm that's doing any job I could take, I had to get. And they're doing lawsuits, right? And it wasn't true to why I wanted to become a lawyer, but it was, I needed a job, right? And 2 years into that, one of the partners got me involved in a federal criminal case that he was doing. I got to help him on it. And the minute I walked into that criminal courtroom and they're talking about the Constitution, and we're not talking about one company suing another one for $3 million anymore, which is what the stuff I was doing, as a young lawyer. Now we're talking about this dad who was a postal worker that stole some stuff in the mail and went federal because of that. But he had a family at home. He was a good guy other than doing some dumb stuff like that,
Yeah.
And they were talking about prison for this guy. And all I could think about was his kids and his wife and what was going to happen. And that meant everything to me. And right then and there, that was it. I was on to criminal defense, and it meant, and I've done it ever since. And
Man, I wish I had a career origin story like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As opposed to, I got drunk and called a radio station. That's a great story.
It's true. I mean, and it's really why we do what we do, right? So, I mean, some lawyers are different than others, but what I see it as is it's people think defending someone's always about getting them out of trouble, right? We don't lie, cheat, or steal for people to do that. Sometimes defending them means they're wrongfully accused and you go to trial or try to get it dismissed. Sometimes it means the prosecution's a little harder on them than they should be, and you want them to be more fair to them, so more negotiation or a fair process.
Sure.
And other times it's like someone's got something going on underneath that's bugging them. Drug addiction, alcohol, anger stuff, mental health, PTSD from the military, you name it. And it's like, hey, man, you're not going to get out of this case, but let's tell the whole story here, not just the case. Let the judge know who you really are and the prosecutor, and let's get you some help with whatever's going on underneath this so that you're not only going to come out better in the case, but we can help you so that you never have to call us again, right? And if we can do that for people and I can help them in that fear that sometimes they're facing, because some guys get suicidal when they're going through stuff, if it's a sex allegation or things
I can
like
only
that.
imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and my life, everyone's got their own story, but for me personally, I used to get out and get after it, right? And so I don't do that anymore. But I had to find a way to, instead of running from those kind of fears or feelings and getting drunk or whatever like that, to, for me, and this is my own story, right? Like I ended up finding my faith and leaning on that and learning how to do that and learning how to lean on people around me if I was ever afraid of anything, instead of trying to handle it all on my own. And so I share that with clients who are receptive to that. And it's a neat journey if sometimes they want to go on that, or to see people be able to do that, because there's a lot of healing in law. It's not just about the X's and O's in the courtroom. Law is one of the three traditional healing professions. Medicine, which is doctors, the clergy, right? You know what that is. And then law, those are the three traditional healing professions. So if we could be a part of helping people through that, it's been a really neat journey in my career. And it didn't start that way. I didn't see it that way when I started.
Yeah.
But that's my why every day now. And it's
a wonderful story.
It's true, and it's just awesome.
It's a hell of a story.
And I can't imagine, you mentioned the stress. I cannot imagine the stress, especially you're innocent of something. And something I've been curious about, so like I've watched Dateline and on and off throughout the years. If, let's say, you're 100%, you're innocent of whatever it is they think you did, do you just say, I'm not talking to anybody until I talk to my lawyer? Because it sure makes you look guilty
Yeah.
Because I'd want to be open and say, hey, let's figure this out because I want you to get the bad guy here.
Right.
But then, you hear stories about somebody, they said something and it made them look guilty even though they were completely innocent.
Yeah. That's an individual choice. So the lawyer answer to that would be absolutely right. Don't talk to anybody until you have a lawyer with you, and you can go over with them first and then get a recommendation. If you want to go and talk with police with the lawyer, then at that point, it's fine. I know people who have, and some police will give people crap if they don't come, if they don't want to talk and they want to have a lawyer, and they might assume you're guilty too. But the reality is listen, I've represented plenty of police in my career, and I've gotten calls from police who have, been looking at some trouble off-duty stuff. And the first thing they do is call a defense lawyer, right? And so it doesn't make you look guilty, and number one. And number two, if other lawyers would call a lawyer, police officers would, other judicial people in the judicial administration thing would. So the advice is, yes, call a lawyer, talk to it. Now, there are times right away where people might feel like, hey, I've got nothing to hide. I'm going to tell the police this right away. And that can sometimes benefit them, right? So it's a case-by-case scenario, but the default, the safest way is to just say, hold on a minute. I just want to get the advice of a lawyer. I want to have a lawyer with me. And there's people that some people think a lawyer will always say, don't talk to police. That's not the case. I've brought in plenty of people after I've talked with them. I've called the police and said, listen, I think this guy's innocent. Here's what's going on. He's willing to come talk with you. Let me ask you what you think. Are you trying to clear him, or are you trying to get him in trouble? I'll get a little bit of a feeling that way. Mm-hmm. And I've brought in people, and we've then talked to the police, and it's worked for them, and they've not been charged with a crime, or they've made it a lot easier on themselves going into it already.
Right.
So, but the default is protect yourself and get a lawyer first. Yeah.
I think no matter what, I'd call a lawyer right away, Josh.
I think I would now.
I mean,
just after seeing some of these things.
Yeah,
normally it wouldn't be my instinct, and I probably would feel like a douchebag. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I was guilty, hell yeah, I'd call a lawyer first.
Right.
If I was innocent, I would struggle with that because I wouldn't want to, look like a dickhead.
I need help in all aspects of life. Yeah. I mean, today I need my friggin' wife to sit next to me because I have to do a Zoom meeting. You know what I mean? And she needs to watch over me to make sure I don't screw it up. Hell yeah, I'm calling a lawyer if I'm ever accused of something like that.
Yeah. Well, she's not making sure about that, Nick. I think she's making sure you don't go to that website the listener just told you about. I'm on a Zoom. Yeah, you've been on a Zoom for 4 hours, buddy.
The Druseum you're referencing. We got Ryan Pacyga here in studio with us, and that's all. Real quick before we go to break, you've already had some great stuff, some interesting stuff. We're getting pounded here with text messages. I don't know if you have a comment one way or another, but people are texting in wanting your opinion on the Apple River incident.
Yeah. So I didn't watch the whole trial, okay? I mean, there's two things that I got to say. Number one, you just never know, right? So is it worth it? I mean, these kids were mocking that guy, right? I'm not saying they deserved it, have it, or whatever, but did they put themselves in a situation where they didn't have to go doing what they were doing? Yeah. Did he put himself in a situation where finally he sees they're mocking him enough and maybe just walk away despite the phone that he was looking for? Yeah. So was it avoidable on both sides? I think it was. And that's a really dangerous way to learn a lesson like that. In today's world, you never know who's got a weapon, a gun, whatever.
That's the truth.
Number one, walk the heck away. It just isn't worth it.
You never know. It is. Second, go ahead.
Second, I think at that point, what would have made a difference for him when he brings that knife out eventually. I mean, I get why after he's down on the ground and he's kind of being, punched around on the ground and he's surrounded a little bit. That's a scary situation. He's got people behind him, in front of him, right? And I assume in Wisconsin he's got a duty to retreat, like here in Minnesota. Okay. But in that situation, I think if he raises the knife and just says, enough, get away from me, and he gives them that warning.
Yeah.
And then if somebody comes at him from there, he may be justified in doing that because he's outnumbered. But without first giving them that warning, and it was almost like the knife's out and he's just slashing away, is from my understanding, okay? That's tough. I think what also might have done him in is his conduct right after. You know what? If you're acting in self-defense again, get a lawyer, but if not, you do not want to start lying about what happened. That's really, really bad, right?
Right,
If he keeps the knife on him, this is the knife, I brought it, not someone else's, and you don't ditch the knife and you say, this is it, I just stabbed people, I freaked out, they were around me, and, police, here's what's happened, and you're telling them right away why you were acting in self-defense and what you were afraid of and why you thought you couldn't retreat. That case might have gone differently for the guy, right? But the conduct after certainly didn't help him there.
It was a terrible, horrible story.
Yeah,
it
it's
makes
so
me
awful.
sick to my stomach even to, but enough people were asking, I thought they certainly wanted your take on it.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
They can get pretty big. They can get 10 foot, 150 plus pounds, and they are a predator.
On 93X.
Yeah, here's the deal. Lawyer Ryan Pacyga is in studio telling some great stories. We do want to try and help some listeners out who are looking for legal advice from Ryan. Give her hell, Cubby.
Wife Plowing Jesus wants to know if you see a cop in trouble, right? Maybe trouble on the side of the road, someone's trying to beat him up or something. What can happen if you try and help, but the suspect gets hurt?
Oh, you tune the guy up a little bit.
Yeah, trying to save the cop's life.
Yeah, there's a defense in Minnesota, not only for self-defense, but what's called defense of another. It's the same principles as self-defense. If you believe somebody's in immediate danger of harm, you have a right to defend that person and use reasonable force to defend them, right? So if they're holding a straw and whipping it against their face, you can't pull out an AK and blow them away. That'd be a little unreasonable, if you will. But in that situation, they're fighting with an officer on the side of the road. You have every right to come over and come assist and defend that officer from an assault.
So even, let's say you punch the dude once, he goes down, head injury, maybe he even dies, or maybe he's in a wheelchair the rest of his life.
Yeah.
It's still reasonable because you punched him once, right?
It could be, yeah. I mean, there is always a risk that you get sued somewhere there, and hopefully you'd come out okay there. So that's a civil side of it, of course. And in what's going on out there in today's world, there's never assurances that you won't get charged for a crime that you would never think you would get charged for, right? We see that happening in some other instances where some people are questioning, for example, whether law enforcement should be charged in certain cases or situations that we're hearing about right now. Mm-hmm. So there's no assurances that you wouldn't get charged if a prosecutor wanted to charge you for something like that. You'd have the defense available. That is always a danger, okay? But those tangles with law enforcement, the problem is if somebody gets the firearm away from law enforcement, if they're already fighting with an officer, who knows what's going to happen next? So you got to use your own gut. That
would take some balls.
It would take some, and you got to look at it, right? We know there's always both sides of the coin. Sometimes people think officers are getting too aggressive and doing things to people who don't need to be manhandled by law enforcement. That's one view of some things somewhere out there, and it can happen. Let's face it, there's bad apples in every profession. On the other hand, doing the work I do and seeing a lot of body camera and squad videos, there are other times where law enforcement are very, very patient and doing everything they can to de-escalate something, and someone just isn't going to do it, and they even come after law enforcement, and they got to defend themselves. So, me myself, if I see a situation like that, I would think that I would stop to render aid myself.
Okay. Doesn't it seem like more and more you see videos of, as soon as the cop approaches, maybe they have a wonderful demeanor, people are already upset with their phones out yelling at the cop, absolutely infuriated. Doesn't matter, what walk of life you're at.
Right.
It seems like it's just kind of more common amongst a whole group, groups and groups of people.
I think right now what we're seeing, we are seeing more attitude like that toward law enforcement that I've ever seen in my career, right? So I didn't grow up in the 60s, but I kind of wonder if this is a little bit of that, in a way, our own sort of 60s time. And I don't mean just hippie kind of stuff, but more of the anti-government, anti-establishment sort of attitude here. I'm sensing some of that. I think we're all sensing some of that right now, and we are seeing that, and some people feeling like they're entitled to do that. And again, it's a touchy subject because there have been situations where certain groups have been profiled in the past. Yes, they have been. We have data on that. That has happened. And again, there are some officers that can be antagonistic and be very difficult right out of the gate in an interaction, right?
Right.
On the other hand, Josh, exactly what you're saying, right? There is some of this attitude that like there's going to be no listening to law enforcement, and or they can say or do anything they want, they feel like in these situations, and that I've never seen it like that before.
It's
like
a touchy situation.
It totally is, right? And it just can't keep going on this way forever, right? I mean, on the one hand, a crime right now is out of control, right? And this is a defense lawyer saying this.
Right.
I mean, it's off the charts around here, right? We've become, unfortunately, it feels like we've become a little bit like the new Detroit around here, right? And other places are having that happen as well. And so what's going to happen is historically the pendulum swing, right? So we get times when we're soft on crime and there's a lot of policies going on and forgiving sentencing and less charging and more programming. And then if that doesn't work, the law typically will swing to the other side eventually through elected officials or otherwise, and sentences get tougher, opportunities go away, there's et cetera, there's more charging. And so this has always been the history of criminal justice in America, and the pendulum, I think, will keep swinging one way and another.
Right. Can't we just get a Batman?
A Batman?
Yes, let's get a Batman.
Or maybe two Batmans. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Your car was just stolen out of the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
Our next question for Ryan Pacyga, I at least from an amateur standpoint, this seems like just the most complicated topic. And we've covered it a couple times just ourselves, trying to figure these things out on our program. The question is from Naked Swinging Jesus. Can I physically remove a squatter from my property, like grab them by the wrist and take them out?
I don't think so. I think it'd be, especially, I mean, we're seeing what's happening in New York with with that kind of stuff, if you're following the news at all, right? And these squatters' rights and all that sort of stuff. I would
just
worry.
Insane.
It is totally
I do
insane.
not understand that.
I don't either, but it is what it is. And the problem with doing that is this. If you do that, you're opening yourself up to an assault charge. Because in Minnesota, remember, you don't even have to touch someone to be charged with assault.
It's madness.
You can be accused of just causing them fear of bodily harm.
Right.
That's at least a misdemeanor if that happens. If they claim an injury, it could go up from there. And then it could end up being in a fight or something else. So get law enforcement involved. Unfortunately, they may come and say, we can't do anything about it. There's a squatters' rights thing going on. And if that's the situation, you're going to have to go through the housing courts to try to get them removed, which is long and sometimes expensive.
This is is this, Ryan Pacyga, being a lawyer for all these years, is this the most bizarre legal situation that you could ever come up with, or that you've ever seen and experienced in your career?
The squatters thing, or just
the squatters thing? It's so strange.
I don't get it, because I couldn't just go sit in your vehicle and say, sorry, Ryan, this is mine now.
Yeah.
I can't understand it.
I've been sitting in this for quite a while. This is now my vehicle.
Yeah, that is really bizarre. There was also another thing that was really bizarre here in Minnesota, and that was for a while where the Minnesota courts were pretending that a search warrant or the Fourth Amendment didn't exist for DWI, blood or urine tests. We were upside down in the law here in Minnesota for quite a while there, and it took 2 United States Supreme Court decisions to slap Minnesota around a little bit and get them in line with the Constitution. Everything Minnesota was doing on DWI law for blood or urine tests was completely afoul of general 101 level constitutional principles. And I was pulling my hair out at the time going, are we living in the Twilight Zone? Mm-hmm. That was equally as ridiculous as what we're dealing with in some of these squatter situations.
Just in a million years, I can't imagine coming back to my house and there's a group of filthy people sitting in there saying, nope, too late, it's our place now.
The cops can't do anything about it.
I can't imagine how that's the real world. But that's just, I mean,
we're living in interesting times, that's for sure.
There's no doubt about that. It's wearing me out, Ryan Pacyga. It's wearing me out.
It can get exhausting, that's for sure.
You've been wonderful today, Ryan. We got to get going. We always love having you.
It's always too short.
Here. I'll always love being here, and I thought I'd do a little macho impression on the way out.
A macho man, Randy, we'd love to, of course.
Oh, yeah, we're at the 93X Morning Show, and we're here with Nick
and Josh and the beautiful Ashley. She wasn't as good as Elizabeth, but she'll do for now. And we can't forget Wapple. I want to wish all the Brotherhood a wonderful weekend. Oh, yeah.
Okay, how in the hell have we known you this long and we didn't know you did a spot-on impersonation of Macho Man Randy Savage?
It's the only other good thing I'm at.
Is that how you win over juries?
I gotta try it.
He just goes, ooh, yeah. Man, can you imagine that? Your lawyer breaks out a Macho Man impersonation for the jury and got you out of trouble.
Never say never.
That was brilliant. Thanks, Ryan.
Take care, brothers.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Have a good weekend. I know we're going to miss some of the shout-outs with how fast the texts were coming in today, so if yours doesn't get read, I do apologize. We hate leaving anyone out, but they come in so fast sometimes we miss them.
You're not going to be able to sleep tonight now, are you?
Well, it does bug me because I know people were looking forward to it. So I apologize if we miss yours. Good luck to little Owen getting tubes in his ears today. Hot Mom Slayer Jesus texts in a happy anniversary shout out to his beautiful wife, putting up with him 12 years as of tomorrow. Happy birthday to Axel, a.k.a. Ladies Man Jesus, turning the big 1-0. Happy 30th birthday to Foundry Rat Jesus. This text says, shout out to my twin brother Nate. Happy 34th birthday, dickhead. And a happy birthday to our good pal Christina, who has a birthday tomorrow.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. 93.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Install a new furnace and AC combo and save up to $3,000 with manufacturer and utility rebates along with Standard Heating's discount. Visit standardheating.com.